RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right, everybody, what's up? Let me move my chair in a little. So, hey. All right, I figured we'd have a show tonight. This is Tara Devlin, unapologetic liberal talk on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. And we get together here at the Tarabuster, whatever, YouTube channel and all these other places that you can find us everywhere. And we have a, what am I trying to say? We have our regular get together on Fridays, and then we hopefully have some shows during the week. But I figured I'd do a show tonight because we are competing with Donald F. Trump. There's some good news, bad news. Sound is good. Thank you, Jim, on the chat. My producers are filling into the chat room. Nice to see you, Kathy. Nice to see you, Covert White Rabbit. So there'll be more of the amazing Patriots and Tarabuster community, I'm sure, showing up as the show continues. So we meet here on Friday evenings, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in that vicinity. Try to do a show during the week around this time. If you can become a patron, please do at patreon.com/Tara Devlin to keep the show going and growing. All right, my hair. I don't know, whatever. I got to stop looking at myself. So let's see. Yeah, there's some good news. Every day. How do we get through a week here in the United States? It's ridiculous. Does this go on in other countries? Where are our international listeners and viewers? I need to check in with them. What's it like living in a country that's not awash with grifters and greed-centered ghouls and ghosts of the Gilded Age and gun-humping, massacre-enabling scumbags? What's that like, I wonder? Well, anyway, I don't know. When was the last time? So Saturday we did, that was not Saturday, Friday. I'm trying to remember. Every day another massacre here in the United States. What day was the massacre at the mall? That's how fucked up this country is. I don't know about you, but when people say something about a massacre, I'm like, which massacre are you talking about? Isn't that emblematic of how sick this country is? It really is. And what do the Republicans have to offer? Do they have anything to offer as in way of a solution? Absolutely not. They're the problem. They're part of the problem. And they have already washed their hands of doing anything about massacres in this country. As you know, the last massacre, before the latest massacre, the Republicans they were proud of themselves, I guess, the way they behave. I don't know why anybody votes for them, because they got in front of cameras, and when confronted with the statistic that the United States has a massacre problem, and the primary cause of death for young people in the country is gun violence, they said without a hint of shame that there's nothing they can do about it. That's freedom. One of these fuckers said, freedom. Well, they sure do have a sick version of freedom, because that's not freedom. If you can't go to the mall without being massacred, without getting your face shot off, literally, you're not free. Okay? If you are, going to the mall, you shouldn't have to wonder if there are, triage. Okay, do I need to put my triage skills to use during the trip to Kohl's, where I'm going to return this, whatever the hell, return this ladle I don't want? We're a very sick country, and yeah. So when was the mall massacre? I'm really Frantic audio from the officers at the Texas Mall massacre reveals chaos during the carnage. A breathless hunt for a killer amid famed American retail stores can be heard. Emergency dispatches recorded during the Outlet Mall massacre in Allen, Texas. We got shots fired at the Outlet Mall. Oh, was on Saturday. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that. The video, the guy getting out of the car and randomly spraying passersby, the mall shoppers who are just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, randomly spraying them with assault weapon, I don't know, how do you call it, with ordnance, with just spraying them dead, and as Lauren Boebert said, I guess they were a victim of a cordless hole puncher. Ha 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 ha. And for those who don't know, that was, I think, the show before the mall massacre. We were discussing how the filth that the Republican Party truly is, because, and we showed a picture of Lauren Boebert holding up a shirt with one of the disgusting domestic terrorists who vote Republican, and they were holding the shirt. They thought it was very funny. They were really tickled by it, and it depicted an AR-15, and it read, "Cordless hole puncher." Like the kids who died needlessly, like the kid. Well, there was now there's a 6-year-old that doesn't have a mother, a father, or a sibling, thanks to the cordless hole puncher that Republicans want everyone to carry in the freedom. Free. We're so free here, aren't we? Free to die needlessly without health care, free to die needlessly in a gun massacre, and then Republicans are free to dance on your graves. Because that's what they're doing. The depth of depravity that we have to deal with in this country, I don't know how about you, man, but I've had enough of it. I've had enough of these right-wingers, these domestic terrorists, these enemies of the people, enemies of freedom. They are the enemies of freedom. They hate freedom. Freedom to, their sickness is that they think that freedom means that they get to be, hateful and bigoted, and they're free to attack the targeted minority group du jour. That's what they consider freedom. But the normal people of Earth consider freedom the freedom to live your goddamn life without being threatened, needlessly threatened, by some sick bastard who lacks the fundamental maturity and decency and humanity that is required to function in a democracy of diverse people. And Republicans, guys, make no mistake, they built this. They created the death that we have to constantly deal with. And I wanted to show you here's a video that I grabbed. It's very confusing to me. Then we'll get to George Santos, and of course, because he's another fucking disgusting dirtbag, and his Dim Fuhrer Trump, we'll get to that too. But I felt like I had to address the massacre, this massacre before the next massacre, because the next massacre is already being planned. It will happen. Someone's gonna hit that lottery, that blood. They are gonna die, so the Republican Party can suck on those fat NRA checks. So someone's already, they don't know it yet. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Who knows? We don't know whose number's going to be up. and the disgusting depths of depravity. That's the word that keeps coming to me, because when I watched I think Anderson Cooper had a first responder on there on his show. No, he wasn't a first responder. What am I saying? He was a shopper at the mall who happened to have, who was a veteran and happened to be trained in combat medicine. So he was able to do some triage on the victims, and it was rather detailed. Great. I was happy to, it was disgusting, of course, but it, in my opinion, necessary, because the way he described it, the scene. Hold on, let me lower this. We don't need that tonight. Let me see, Andrew. The way he described the scene, and it stuck in my mind, because he said, I'm sorry if this is upsetting people, but I need you to know the depravity that unfolded at that mall. And that is the appropriate word for it. Disgusting. The depths of depravity. I don't know. Should I play the whole thing? It's really gonna... Well, maybe. Hold on.
At the mall shopping with a friend when the shooting began. He's a Navy combat veteran with training in emergency care for wounded people, which he put to use on Saturday. I talked to him just a few minutes ago, right before airtime, and we want you to hear from him what he saw and what he did. And I just want to tell you some of the details. They're gut-wrenching, but he and we want you to hear them, because it's what was done to our fellow human beings. It's what was done to women and children and men, and it happened, and it's real, and ignoring it just doesn't feel like the right thing to do. Joshua, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, how are you doing? I mean, you have been through something which is just horrific.
Given the circumstances, I mean, I could comfortably say I'm doing good, considering all this occurred.
Oops, sorry, hit the pause.
Considering all this occurred.
I know you were there when the shooting began. You heard it. You hid out in a Lucky Jeans store. You made sure the people around you were down, keeping as safe as possible. At a certain point, you made the decision it was safe to come out, and you went directly to where you believe the gunfire had come from. When you got there, what did you see?
So when I initially got in front of the H&M store, it was the first thing that I noticed was the gunshot blasted windows to that store. And then as I started to rotate around and observe, the next thing I noticed was in an alcove area where there was a landscaped flower bed, if you will. I noticed in front of it was a woman who had collapsed on top of herself and had perished there. And then I turned around and turned my gaze towards the left, and I noticed a gentleman there who was, I guess for lack thereof a better word, writhing in pain. He had what appeared to be a shoulder wound. He was actually in the flower bed. There was a young child, my guess at the time was between 6 and 8 years old, that was lying there. Her state was unknown but did not look promising. And then next to her was an adult woman who had multiple vicious gunshot wounds. She had the head of a young lady draped on her left shoulder, facing downward, who also appeared to have multiple very traumatic injuries and gunshot wounds. Then at the foot of that young lady was basically a pile with a man on top who was again writhing in pain with what appeared to be a shoulder or chest wound. And below him was a deceased woman that come later find out his wife. And then he had a young child with him, maybe 5 or 6 years old, that was just drenched in blood. I mean, the color of whatever fabric he was wearing was nearly indistinguishable. And he was, hiding, but appeared at that time to not be wounded, or at least not severely wounded. So yeah, that was the initial observation of the scene before I actually started to involve myself.
And you decided, I mean, your training at that point, I assume, kicks in. You decide to essentially, do triage and go to where you think? You did most. You went to the woman and her daughter, correct?
That's correct. That's correct, sir. I went over there because she had, made sounds, words, and so I went to her and I approached her and I started to kind of overlook, her condition and speak with her. And she asked me to look at her daughter, who was next to her, the young child. So I turned over to the daughter and I began to do chest compressions and some mouth-to-mouth, and then I went back to continue chest compressions, at that which time just a vile amount of blood came out from underneath her, from her back. And I realized at that point, with her coloring and that state, that she had already been deceased. And, that the blood loss was just unbelievable. So I then returned back to her mother and just tried to analyze the wounds, check out the bleeding. She had a pretty large portion of her neck that had been compromised, both of her legs, her arm that was visible, both with just massive, atrocious bullet wounds to the point where the bone was splintered, and the tissue was everywhere on the walls, etc. But she was talking with me, and my main thing was to keep her stable, keep her daughter, who also was making movement and trying to contain, to keep them stable, and just try to apply pressure and minimize any more loss that we could get. I mean, I had no tools. I'm not a trained medic, so I was just going with what training I do have and doing the best that I could while we were waiting for trained medical technicians to arrive so that we could get them off to a hospital.
And that mother was asking about...
I did continue to try to...
That mother was asking about her daughter.
Yeah, I eventually had to... Yeah, and eventually I tried to buy time because I didn't want to have to tell her, but eventually I realized that I couldn't... there was no way around it, so I had to tell her that I couldn't work on her daughter anymore because her daughter was deceased, but that I needed her to hang in there because her husband was there, and very frantic and distraught, understandably. Her daughter was there. Her daughter was still with us, so I needed her to fight. I needed her to fight for her husband and for her daughter and for the family that was still there. And that's what I kept relaying to her and to her daughter, that just, please fight and be there for the family that you have.
How old was the child who died, do you think?
I believe around 6, 7 years old.
How long did it take for the ambulances to come?
Initially, we had paramedics arrive on foot with their trauma bags, their trauma kits. When they arrived, again, there were still too many wounded for them to handle, so I worked with them on applying the Stop the Bleed tourniquets, and at one point I had to use the trauma shears to remove her bra and her shirt because she had a wound on her breast, and so I had to apply a compression bandage onto that. And so I was working with them. They were giving me the supplies, and I was applying them while they were also working with the underwounded. But I would probably say from the time that I arrived till we actually started getting victims onto ambulances was probably the better part of 10 or so minutes, largely due to the fact that trying to get ambulances into an area with the possibility of there still being an active shooter requires a great deal of difficulty to not potentially cause damage or make an ambulance driver a victim.
And you stayed on scene helping for hours, didn't you?
Many hours. Yeah, I stayed there till all the patients were gone there. The patient next to the H&M who came out, and I thought I was going to have to use my pickup truck to get her out of there, but we were able to get an ambulance and get her out. And then once we were escorted out, I was then asked by a gentleman who was there also on a voluntary basis to assist with getting the people off the streets so that emergency vehicles could come in and out, and helping with the crowds of people that were coming out of the mall that were being stationed in the grassy area there. And in doing that, I also, I had people that were approaching me that had medical conditions or were in need of water or hydration, that I was working with getting them to a paramedic to assist with their medical situations, or getting them water and handing out and distributing water and helping the police officers with that. Just trying to do what I could do so that the police officers, the fire department, and the EMS could do the skilled jobs that they need to be there to do, and I could kind of be this infill.
Josh, I think it's just extraordinary what you did, and I just wonder if there's anything you want people to know about what you saw, what you went through, what the others went through.
I mean, the most important thing, the reason I even agreed to do these interviews, because I'll be honest, I'm pretty tired. Was because I want people to really, I want it to really sink in. I want people to really and truly understand the depths of the depravity that occurred. And, you know, and if in the detail it upsets them, then I'm glad, because it should, because it was a disastrous situation. But there were a lot of good people there, both civilians and, of course, naturally the law enforcement, the paramedics, the EMTs, and the firefighters that just really gave it their all to in a situation where it's very difficult to navigate, you know, in those kind of conditions. But yeah, my biggest thing is just for people to realize and know how tragic this truly, really was, that people lost their lives, that people's lives, even though they may still be alive, they are forever changed, and generally speaking, not for the positive.
I'm sorry, I had to play that whole thing through. The depths of the depravity that occurred. And it keeps occurring. It will continue to occur. Because we have one party in this country that is completely depraved. There is no debate on this. The Republican Party cannot go the way of the Whigs fast enough. But, yeah, what's wrong with us, I have to say? I keep thinking about the fact that after Uvalde, people voted for Greg Abbott again. They put him back into office after that massacre. And more massacres will continue. And what does Greg Abbott have to say or do in the face of massacre? He's not going to stop any. He's got prayers. He's got fucking prayers for people. Did anybody elect these Republicans for prayers? Maybe some did, I guess, because that's all they got. You know, there's no governing going on. It's just prayers and ways to figure out how to funnel money into the hands of a few, while they do nothing about anything else, because they want this chaos. They want the American people to think of each other as enemies in an armed camp, and they want the fear. This is something that Republicans and the NRA love. They love the massacres at schools, synagogues, churches. Oh, here, I forgot to put Tara Jr. in. I'm gonna have to get up and put him in the bedroom. He's on a roll tonight. But in every situation we can imagine ourselves: concerts, movie theaters, where else? Schools. I've said. Universities, churches, walking down the streets, going to the supermarket, going to a casino, going to anything you want to do in life. Because if you live in any other country and you're actually free, you don't really have to worry about these things. Where you drop your kid off at school and hope to God they come home, because you got, the American people have to put it out of their minds, I suppose. When you drop your kid off, you got to think, okay, I hope that my kid makes it home alive today, that there's no massacre happening. But you better believe that if they're not involved in a massacre, that they will have to endure, the live shooter drills. They'll come out sufficiently traumatized. So, thanks to Republicans. That's it. What do they have to offer this country? These right-wingers. And really, what the hell is wrong with the people who vote for them? And I gotta say, man, like the one thing that's really getting on my nerves in general, as our never-ending election season continues to ramp up, it's never stops, because it's about greed. It really is. The corporate media, they make a lot of money from political advertisement, and that's what it's about. So they don't give a shit. That's why Trump is on CNN tonight. They don't care. And I'm going to play another video a little when we're talking about George Santos, how here in New York, on CBS, they gave him an entire hour to, I don't know, rehash and rehab his image. So, and it was disgusting and vile. And then the next day, well, not the next day, maybe 2 days later, when was he? Oh, yeah, he was arrested yesterday, right? Am I wrong? Yeah, yesterday. The days they're all merging together. But, so they gave him an entire hour on a Sunday show in local news here. They hyped it to death. And in this hour, they interviewed this fucking grifter, this woman, a woman who has been in, I think she's like well, it is true, I suppose. She's the longest or I don't know, whatever. She's been in political reporting in New York City since TV was a test pattern. So so she's, supposedly got some cred, but I guess put that cred all the way down the toilet, interviewing George Santos, seriously interviewing him, and lending him the credibility he certainly doesn't deserve. So the corporate media is in on the grift. Right now over at CNN, they have the con man who was just proven guilty of being a sexual predator, which we knew, which he admits constantly, again and again. He continues to admit it. Every time he says, "Oh, she's not my type," and whatnot, you never hear him arguing that don't accuse me of sexual assault. I would never sexually assault anybody. That's not how he even thinks. His argument is that she's not good looking enough to sexually assault, because he's a sexual predator. He's always been a sexual predator. They're all a bunch of predators. You understand? All of them, from Moscow Mitch McConnell to Elise Stefanik to George Santos to Twitler. And I guess he's back. Well, he's not tweeting, but whatever. To the asshole, to the con man with the fake university and the vitamin scam, the wannabe dictator who received fewer votes. It's all a scam. They're all a bunch of grifters. It's all an organized grift. And they're all, they might not be organized together, but they're all in on the grift. They're in on the joke. And the joke is us. They hate America. They hate democracy. They don't want they don't want people to look to government and say, we got a problem here. We need to address it. They want to wash their hands of all the problems Americans face, because they don't want Americans to think that government does anything for them, because the only thing that government is going to do, if Republicans have their wish lists come true, is make the rich richer. Just like in the system the founders overthrew. You understand? So that's what it's about. They want because the people back in the olden days, where you were born into wealth and you were, if you were born poor, that's where you died. You died poor, and in the meantime, you awaited your rewards in heaven. You went in the field and you didn't pester your betters for anything, because they were busy, in their ivory towers, playing their games and passing out favors to each other and titles and land and then you went to church, and the church, the pastor or the priest or whoever would tell you that that's the way God wants it. God made the king and the aristocracy. He made them rich because they're better than you. And, better luck next life. But, just hold on, bub. You'll be rich in heaven. You'll be rich when you're dead. So don't even think about overthrowing the king, because overthrowing the king is like overthrowing God, and God is the king is God's representative on earth. This thing is supposed to be the antidote to that, but Republicans, that's what they want. They want to drag us back to that system where everyone knows their place. That's what it's about. Look at them. Know them by their fruits. If in the face of massacred children, they throw up their hands and say there's nothing we can do. How much longer do we take it? You know, and who votes for these people? It's flabbergasting. I don't even have the words for the depravity of people who vote for people who are depraved. What are you voting for these people for? And I like that word. I keep saying depravity because that's what it is. It's disgusting. That man, he hit the nail on the head. But what was he doing? He was going to the goddamn mall. He didn't want to go to a war scene. God damn it. Well, you know, who knows? He was probably going to the mall to pick up some goddamn, compression socks. And there he is, trying to keep people alive and delivering the bad news that they just lost their child. And hold on. Please hold on, because you still have things to live for. In this fucked up, blood-soaked madhouse. I don't understand how anyone votes for them. I really don't. And shame on them. But, you know, the corporate media, what's the corporate media doing now? I don't know if you've noticed, you know, as the election that never ends keeps coming back into the forefront, you know, it never ends. You know, in other countries, they have a certain window where you have political ads, and then they have public financing of campaigns, and then you have, in the last 30 or 60 days, I don't remember what it was in England, but this is the political season. It doesn't go all year fucking long. But the corporate media does it that way because they get the buku bucks and they like stirring shit up, and you know, we've discussed this before. The divided country can be traced back to the fact that we have a corporate media. It can be traced back to the Telecommunications Act of '96 and the silos of information that sprung out from the consolidation of media. So yeah, and so now we got the polls again. It's always up in the polls, down in the polls. And it seems to me, it's really infuriating that the corporate media didn't learn a damn thing from the midterms, where up in the polls, down in the polls, they said how many times we had to hear it right up until the day of the election that the Democrats were going to get trounced and the headwinds against the Dems. They were going to lose 50 seats and they were going to lose the Senate. And how is Joe Biden ever going to recover? And blah, 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 blah. You know, never mind that the right-wingers are, you know, the enemies of the people, and the coup and the lies and the filth and the racism and the bigotry and the homophobia and transphobia and the book burning and banning and the, you know, voter suppression and the you know, I mentioned the filth and the lies, of course, but now we're hearing it again. I don't know if you noticed. They're like, oh, and all of this, the coups and the lies and the sexual assaults. And look at this. In a head-to-head matchup, the American stupids will vote for Trump. Now, apparently Trump wins. I don't remember the exact spread it was. It was like Trump at 70% and Biden at 40% or something stupid like that. And I'm like, here we go again. Because this is the same playbook that we endured last time. What are you talking about? Where are you getting these polls from? What poll? Who are you polling? Nobody polled me. And then they discuss it. They go round and round discussing how you know, what's Joe Biden going to do? And, his age, and everybody fucking sucks. And they are all worried about his goddamn age. Who cares about his age? My God. Because I know that Republicans are filth. So why don't you focus on that? His age. He's an old guy. Yeah, I don't care if he's weekend at Bernie's. We can't have a filthy fascist who is running on finishing the coup in the White House, and his political party of enablers that have no integrity. They have no decency. The bottom is goddamn bottomless. When you think you hit bottom, the trapdoor opens and you're down into infinity with these effers. So I don't want to hear, Biden, everybody's crazy. They're scared about Biden. Who are you? And you know why? We've discussed this before. The last time the election, we were discussing these goddamn polls, and the time before that, and the time before that. It's that who I can't even talk. You hear this? It's the words just won't come out. But I wonder. Let's put it this way. It's sort of like the big lie, right? How the Republicans are like, oh, there's concerns about the election because people think that something went on because you're telling them something went on. So it's the same thing with the corporate media telling people over and over, everyone's concerned. They say that Joe Biden is too old and and they're all concerned. You think they're fucking concerned? They're concerned because you're telling people that they're concerned, and then when some corporate media mouthpiece sticks a microphone in their face, people don't want to look stupid, and they're like, well, that guy's concerned. And I just heard in the elevator that when the TV was on in the corner of the elevator, and they were like talking about how concerned people are. I guess I'm concerned too. You know what I'm concerned about? I'm concerned about another massacre. I'm concerned about a political party getting in office that has nothing to offer but fear and massacres and coups and authoritarianism and hatred and division and voter suppression and women in back alleys dead. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned. Why don't you then? And of course, they never dig into the questions, right? They don't. They act as if whoever they're polling are informed, that this is the informed electorate. Now we know we just had a whole lawsuit come out. We saw the documents from the court that said, under oath, the Fox News mouthpiece is saying how they lie. They literally lie to their victims / viewers. So where are you getting your information from? Are you getting it from? You're either getting it from, corporate media, the CNN, which is now Fox News Jr., and MSNBC, which, they have some, I guess, I like Chris Hayes and Rachel and all, but, they're still corporate media. But so where are you getting your news from? You getting it from Newsmax or some other shithole? You getting it from Facebook? Right? But let's poll the American dupe who doesn't know the fucking ass from their elbow. Jesus Christ, right? It's the truth. These are the same ones that are voting for Lauren Boebert and say that, I don't care. I'm tired of your stinking separation of church and state thingy, while holding up a shirt that says cordless hole puncher. I don't know, man. It's like this country, there's so many problems here that nobody I was going to say nobody's doing anything about. It's not that. It's that the greed is so entrenched and embedded, and it's indistinguishable. It's like it's woven into the fabric so craftily that it's almost unseen, that it's the only motivating value now. That's why we have a corporate media. That's why, this corporate media wouldn't. First of all, it would never attack the hand that feeds it, and they would never. When they talk about billionaires or the donor class, okay, this is another thing that gets me insane, that you never hear anyone on corporate media even question the existence of a donor class. What is a donor class? Why does a so-called democracy have a donor class? And yet why are you presenting that as if that's the natural state of affairs? That is the way it should be. No, it's not the way it should be. A donor class is emblematic of the broken system. No one is above the law. Everyone is the same in the eyes of the law. Bullshit. When we have a donor class, Junior, come on, man. Show yourself to everybody. I'm going to have to put him in the bedroom. What is the matter? I fed you. I forgot to put him inside. He was sleeping over there so quietly and peacefully. So legally and peacefully. I gotta put him listen to him. Listen. Listen to his very cute purring, though. Purr for the people. Purr. He's like a purr machine. I like that part about him. All right, what am I going to play while I put him in the bedroom? Let me see. There's so many things. Because, I wanted to play this one thing before we got into George Santos. Maybe I'll just... What did I just play? Hold on. I don't want to play that. Here, I'll play a little bit of Trump's deposition with the E.G. Carroll.
And by the early 1990s, would it be fair to call you or to characterize you as a real estate tycoon?
Yeah.
Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, that was completed in 1983?
Around that time, yes.
And when did you move into your penthouse apartment there?
Maybe a year later.
And that remained your primary residence until you were elected president, correct?
That's right.
And where's Trump Tower located? I obviously know.
57th and 5th.
And at some point, you became the owner of the Plaza Hotel in New York, correct?
Yes.
And where's the Plaza Hotel located?
59th off 5th Avenue.
And for how long were you the owner with Ron? During what years were you the owner of the Plaza Hotel?
I don't know the years. About 5 years.
And do you know when it began, when you bought it?
In the early 90s.
Now,
I'm sorry, I had to do that too.
In the 90s.
Get it off my screen. Look at this fucking mop on my head. Oh my God, help me. And thank you, Jim, for your super chat. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. Really. You keep me from falling into the depths of despair myself. All right. So here is a clip I found very curious from Newsmax talking about the shooter, because of course, you know how, and All right. You know how Republicans, when the con man was squatting in the White House despite receiving fewer votes, and the FBI were like, the greatest threat to Americans is right-wingers. They are right-wingers. Right-wing terrorists, domestic terrorists, they are... they pose a clear danger to the American people. And the Republicans were like, oh, no. We want you to fix the facts around the policy. I want you to designate this fake-ass non-organization called Antifa that is just anybody that is anyone who stands up to a filthy fascist is now labeled Antifa. Anybody who does anything that Republicans can politicize, if they break a window, that even though the Republicans are committing, they're the ones doing like the false flags and things, then those are the Antifa. But they're supposedly such a danger that I guess they're like an invisible threat, like Goldstein or the Eternal Jew. And so anyway... they wanted to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, which tells you how fascist the Republicans are, because they're not really trying to address actual problems. They're trying to divide people and cover their own asses. And in the meantime, when you're not legitimately looking at the problems or the actual threats against the American people, you're ensuring that those threats will continue and multiply and actually result in violence. So here's a clip from Newsmax that I found very curious, because this guy, Greg Kelly, has a show apparently. He sucks, of course, but, whatever. Here, let me... I was going to say he doesn't have to say please become a patron, but that sounds a little whatever. Sometimes it gets on my nerves. It really does. But
until they told us this guy did it, Mauricio Garcia, and oh yes, a white supremacist with neo-Nazi ties. Now, look, this is not a white supremacist. And oh, by the way, we abhor white supremacy. But you know what the left does, right?
This is so weird. By the way, we abhor white supremacy. This is not a white supremacist. He only has Nazi insignia and SS tattoos and right-wing death squad. But it doesn't it sound like this guy is... Well, he sounds very confused, because he's like, by the way, we abhor white supremacy, but this guy isn't a white supremacist, and they're trying to smear us. Smear us white supremacists? That's what it sounds like.
They think anything MAGA must be white supremacist. That is appalling. This is just pathetic, all right? Now, there's a tattoo, many tattoos, and someone at one point tried to say that's the City of Dallas tattoo. No, it looks like it's the pure...
That's journalism for you, right? Someone said it was the City of Dallas tattoo. What's someone? Who? Got a name? You got a reference? You got a source? Someone said. People are saying. And here, this potential indicator of involvement with the Puro Tango Blast prison gang, that is complete and utter fabrication. They pulled out of their ass because for some reason they're very upset that this guy, a Republican, obviously, he voted for Trump, I'm sure, and is a right-winger and a white supremacist or whatever. He's a supremacist. He's a racist. I don't care if he's Hispanic. So what? Look at Uncle Clarence Thomas. He's also a white supremacist. Right? For real. He hates, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll get into that another time. But this Puro Tango Blast prison gang, I know it sounds very scary, but it's like a deflection. No. So I did a search for this douchebag, this murdering piece of shit, and Puro Tango Blast prison gang. Then you would be not in the least bit surprised to know that the only so-called news outlets reporting that supposed tattoo or relation are right wing, like Newsmax itself. So they're really working hard to deflect. Then that's what right wingers do, because they are the domestic enemies the founders warned us about. They are the threats to domestic tranquility that the FBI warned us about. And the job of Newsmax and other fascist propaganda outlets is to distract and deflect from that and cover the asses of white supremacists. Obviously, they are a white supremacist network, and just like Tucker Carlson, because the thing is, wait, hold on. If you are espousing white supremacist rhetoric, that's no different than whether you call yourself a white supremacist or not. And this is the thing with Tucker Carlson, who will soon be on Twitter, apparently, and that's why Twitter is, just like everything else right-wingers touch, destroyed. The Nazis and white supremacists and KKK of this country loved Tucker Carlson and openly discussed it because the white supremacists themselves said that he mainstreamed their ideology. He gave their ideology, he made it palatable to the victims / viewers who watch Fox News, who are racists. No doubt about it. But he tickled those racist funny bones and really exacerbated their sicknesses. So, all right, let's continue. And you tell me, is this guy upset that white supremacists are getting a bad name?
Tango Blast prison gang tattoo, all right? This is not a white supremacist. Yes, if you stand on your head and cross your eyes and take a drag on a cigarette, one of those etchings might look like a swastika. All right, this is what they do now. This is what it's all about. Trying to tarnish or somehow diminish the other side by any means possible. This, again, totally pathetic. Now, in the hours after...
It's totally pathetic, just so we got that straight. And if you stand on your head and squint and smoke a cigarette, his tattoos might look like swastikas. So, do you see what I'm saying? He seems very upset that the guy is giving white supremacists, a.k.a. Republicans, a.k.a. Newsmax viewers, a bad name. But it's almost like he's confused too, because he can't outright say, he has to kind of qualify it. We abhor white supremacy. You do? Then why are you so triggered? We abhor white supremacy, but oh God, he's not a white supremacist. So why are you so offended then? Why are you struggling so desperately to excuse him as not a white supremacist if you're not a white
prison
supremacist?
Gang tattoo, all right? This is not a white supremacist. Yes, if you
this
stand
is
on
not
your
a white
head
supremacist,
and
guys.
cross your eyes and
I'm a
take
white supremacist. He's not a white supremacist, and he's just an amateur white supremacist.
This is not a white supremacist. Yes, if you stand on your head and cross your eyes and take a drag on a cigarette, one of those etchings might look like a swastika.
They might?
All right. This is what they do now.
Yeah,
this
is what happens.
What it's all about. trying
It's all
to
about
tarnish or somehow diminish the other side by any means possible.
Who are white supremacists.
This, again, totally pathetic. Now, in the hours after...
Okay, it's totally pathetic. All right. I'm just trying to find I thought I had a clip of the guy's tattoos. And you can tell me if they look white supremacists. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, let's see. God damn it. That's why I need a producer. If you can, become a page. I'm so sick of saying it. Whatever. Don't be a fucking patron. See if I care. Look. If you stand on your head and squint, it might look like a Nazi insignia. Somebody said it looked like Texas. It's really the Puro Tango Cucaracha prison gang. Not a white supremacist. It's pathetic. It's just so pathetic the way the left tarnishes the good name of Nazis nowadays. It's terrible. Terrible. All right. If you squint, to me, it was very curious. And it also shows exactly what we're saying. It's that they can't help it. They are so racist. It's like they're twisted. They can't come right out and say, yes, we're racist and we're white supremacists. They have to feign that they abhor white supremacy while standing for every white supremacist idea or policy that pleases the Nazis and the KKK. If your policies are getting the endorsement of David Duke, then are you a white supremacist or not? I would say know them by their fruits. You don't see David Duke voting Democratic. And that's why I always wonder about so-called Republicans, right? The average Joe Republicans. And this is another thing that the corporate media fails to connect the dots, right? Of course, they always do. Why don't you point it out to the average Joe dupe? What are you doing? Oh, you're not a racist? You just vote Republican because of fiscal policies, right? Well, what are you talking about? What fiscal policies? Oh, yes. What? Trickle down tax breaks for the rich? You like that? They never, push, but of course, it's just, that would be practicing journalism. All right, now let's see. You know what I want to? Let's talk about George Santos because it's all connected. How disgusting Republicans are. Now, I made it... whatever. I hope I can play this off the screen now that I'm saying this. Because I have to tell you, I'm a little bit mad at myself. Just going to be honest. I grabbed this video and I didn't save it out. I sat here for 45 minutes and I watched this entire interview of George Santos on CBS. On the local CBS station here in New York. And you're welcome, everyone. And then I, for some reason, I guess didn't save it. So hopefully I can play it off the screen. I know we've had some problems with that in the past. Let's see if it works. I think I figured it out, though. So let's see. You tell me if you can hear this.
Or derogatory term. I'm going to...
Wait, hold on.
Congressman George Santos has been in office for 4 months, achieving a notoriety that has made him a name far beyond his Long Island district. So, Congressman, how do you feel about this notoriety that you have?
I didn't sign up for it. That's for sure. When you're running for Congress, Marcia, you're running to go be the voice of your community. Now,
I'm in shock already. I'm absolutely appalled and disgusted that this woman is giving this con man a platform. Now, first of all, I have this video I could play just to show you how they hyped it. They hyped the Santos interview. Where is it? Yes. Here we go.
I actually think that this is must-see TV. It was George Santos actually talking about things in Washington that you never expected to have him talk about. He's actually learning to use his notoriety in order to make a mark in Washington.
Thank you guys on the chat.
Now, whether or not Long Island voters are willing to return him to Washington certainly is a very open question at best. He was in a good mood. He was charming. I was very surprised that he engaged with me the way he did on so many issues. I think
he engaged on so many issues. He's in a good mood. He was charming. Well, isn't that interesting? A sociopath, malignant narcissist is possessed of superficial charm. Isn't that interesting? Considering that's one of the characteristics of a sociopath. How odd that he was charming. And we know George Santos's entire sociopathy, that he lies as easily as breathing, and this bitch falls for it. And there she is. This is the promo. I think this is must-see TV.
He decided that if he was going to have a chance of getting reelected,
why should
he had to do an extended interview with the longest-serving political reporter in New York. that I think he thought that our show is a show that has credibility.
Credibility! That's why he went on their show, because it has credibility. And I'm absolutely appalled and offended that they gave this person, this incredibly brazen con man, a platform to rehab his entire shtick. The victim, he plays the victim card. He is a vile scumbag, and she just continues to pepper him with questions as if he's a legitimate representative, as if the entire district of District 3 in Long Island isn't trying to get rid of him. And they are. And he continues to lie. He just lies throughout the whole thing. And it's incredible. But it is such a dereliction of the Fourth Estate, a debasement of journalism. I don't know. Honestly, I think that if George Santos isn't going to resign, she should. This woman should. Martha.
And that I would ask the tough questions, and he was ready to answer them.
Asked the tough questions? Wait, I got to play it. With
the longest-serving political reporter in New York. that I think he thought
you got it. Honey, you need to hang it up. That you have embarrassed yourself. You've embarrassed the entire profession. You're talking about CBS, the home of Edward R. Murrow. When journalism meant something. Incredible. The debasement of the entire profession of journalism. No questions about the lying about his resume. It's not just embellishing the resume. He fabricated an entire life. How about the check kiting? What is that called? The passing bad checks in Brazil, stealing from roommates, the not paying rent, the being evicted. He was in eviction court twice for stiffing landlords, for on top of not being able to create any more GoFundMe campaigns because he had been barred from GoFundMe because he's a con man. What about the brain tumor, the double knee replacement, the Goldman Sachs, the financier? That's what he calls himself. His profession, He has, as financier, no questions about that. You know, how do you call yourself a financier when you're in eviction court? In order to be a financier, you know what a financier is? That means you got money to invest in things. You know, finance things like, I guess, Spider-Man After Dark. He supposedly was a financier of that, a Broadway show, but that flopped. You know, that's how clever he is with his lies. It's like the same thing when people are like, well, why does he say that he's a volleyball star? Because it's less, it's easier to, it's because of its detail. It's almost more palatable. And it's, you know, people will be like, who fucking lies about being a volleyball star? So you automatically believe it. Same thing when he's like, oh, I put money into Spider-Man After Dark. I'm a financier of that flop, Spider-Man After Dark. Because that's, you know, who's going to go look that up? Well, I guess he lost money on that big flop. You know, he's not going to say he financed The Lion King or some other, I don't know what else is playing on Broadway at the moment, is even The Lion King, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to look that shit up. If something is playing, you'll be like, all right, well, where's your name in this playbill? But a Broadway show that flopped, and, you know, where's the evidence? You're not going to go, where are you going to find the playbill for that? Oh, God in heaven. We're so screwed here. We are so screwed. Oh, I forgot to press the button. Fuck. On something. Sorry. All right, how you guys doing? I see the chat room hopping and popping. Everything okay in there? All right, good. If you're on other places, you want to come hang out in the greatest chat room in American history, come on over to youtube.com/C for channel/Tarabuster. And meet the fam. All right, I'm just stalling while where the fuck is this goddamn link? I'm sorry. That's why I need a real producer. We'll find it. I have too many links open. That's the problem. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Hold on. I was just playing it. George Santos. Now I'm losing every other. I'll have to open up a new link. Shit. All right, YouTube. That's what we'll do. George Santos. CBS interview. It's incredible. I can't wait till he goes to jail. That's going to be satisfying, don't you think? Yeah, oh my God. I have to show you what I'm looking at right now. Look at this piece of shit here. Look at that smug-ass fucking face. Pardon my French.
F-word derogatory term. I'm going to bash his brains out, make you wash it with a baseball bat, and I'm going to take it to yours, and I'm going to blow up your office.
Bullshit. See, here's what we're talking about. He's a liar. He's the same guy that said he was mugged on Fifth Avenue and somebody took his shoes. They stole his designer shoes on Fifth Avenue. You think, you know, that would have gotten some attention? Of course, he never reported it, supposedly, because he's a full of shit con man. Now, this, let's roll it back a little bit, because she's asking him about, what's the scary thing? Show me some, whatever. Scary, good, bad. What have you learned in your short time in Congress? As if he's, a sincere and legitimate representative. It's incredible.
really keep me grounded, focused, centered. They do the work.
Oh, wait, hold on here.
For you, nightmares, not nightmares. Like, what is it like to have had this happen to you?
Like everything in life, you
this
reap
happen
the
to you?
consequences of your actions, right? So there's been good moments.
Had this happened to you? You lied your way into Congress, and you were exposed. You're not a victim. You're a grifter who was exposed, and you have no shame because you are mentally ill. You have a personality disorder. It's most likely malignant narcissism, sociopathy. That is a characteristic of all con men, prolific con men, who they end up on American Greed. You know, the TV show American Greed. These are the people that pretend to be princes of or the sons of famous celebrities, and they are some kind of romance scammer who fabricates an entire existence. But there's something wrong with them. They have a mental illness to be this much of a liar. Shameless liar. I mean, he's got no shame, because if he had any shame, he would leave. It's like Trump. It's like the rest of the Republican Party. It's like Clarence Thomas, Uncle Clarence. They don't give a shit about this country. They hate this country. The country serves them. That's why they won't step down when their selfishness, their greed, their criminality is exposed. Because why would they? This is who they are to the core. They have no decency. So what? They were caught. In the meantime, he's collecting a salary. He's making more money than he ever made in his life. So he's also able to fundraise, right? I know that he's not getting any more. He's not getting funding. He's had to give funding back, but he also lies about that on this, saying that, I'll never tell Martha or Marcia, whatever the hell your name is.
And there's been dark moments, there's been sad moments, there's been moments of fear. But all in all, there's a balance. I have a good attitude towards life. I've always maintained a good attitude throughout this entire process. What happened to me the first 30 days of this year will follow me forever, but in no way, shape, or form will I ever allow it to affect the kind of work I deliver for the people who elected me.
So I'm curious, what are the good moments, the bad moments, and the moments when you were afraid?
Good moments, my staff. They're the best part of my life these days, aside from my family, obviously. They really keep me grounded, focused, centered. They do the work, and they stuck by me through thick and thin. That was a good moment.
A bad moment, because you're a victim.
The worst moment was when I was trying to understand the overwhelming attention and all the negative.
Trying to understand. I just don't know why. Why would you put so much attention on somebody who has completely fabricated their entire life? Why would you focus on someone who is a con man, wanted in Brazil, who's now grifted himself into the House of Representatives? I can't fathom all the attention.
Things being written and all the mean things people write on social media. It's just really... you sometimes think, can people really think these things? Do they think this is funny?
Do you think that... you got to think. Sometimes you think that, do people really think this? They're so mean? You see the professional victimitis in the Republican Party? It's to the core. If only everybody would just leave George Santos alone to lie and grift and steal and make shit up and steal money from vulnerable veterans who only want to save the life of their dog. If only you would just leave George alone, or Anthony, or Qatar, or whatever the hell he's going by now.
It's like some really negative, dark things that are said. So those are bad moments sometimes.
Did it make you cry?
No. No, I didn't shed a single
cry. You would have to have a level of emotion. You have to be not a sociopath to cry. Did it make you? I mean, this bitch has really gotten me twisted, frankly. Because it's like CNN and the rest of the self-serving sycophants of this sickness, of this goddamn sick, bottomless, sick system. It's, George Santos can't help what he is, but can Marcia? Can Marcia Kramer help not licking his ass? Or legitimizing him, sitting on a couch with him and having a conversation that doesn't involve the fact that he's a prolific con man and how dare he. This is another... It's like all the rest of the Republicans who spit in the face of grieving parents and grieving Americans who are grieving the loss of life in this country. And Republicans wear AR-15 pins and shit like that to mock and dance on the graves of people they pretend to represent. And there's Marcia sitting there doing the same thing, just spitting on the people of the district of the 3rd District in Long Island who want this grifter gone, who are embarrassed. You're talking about over 70% of those in the district who want him gone. The Republican Party in District 3 wants him gone. And there is Marcia sitting on a couch with him as if he's somebody who is going to tell her the truth. This is a coup for this fucking weasel. And Marcia, she's the oldest or the longest, whatever, political reporter in New York. Shame on you, bitch. Shame on you. Not a single question worthy of any, I don't know, of a journalist. That's for sure.
Here throughout this, not because I'm not human, because there was nothing to cry about. There was a lot of thinking. Now, a moment of fear was when I received our really first credible risk assessment death threat.
Bullshit.
Capitol Police involved.
Bullshit.
We had
Prove it.
NYPD involved.
Bullshit.
The gentleman was arrested and arraigned.
Was this in New York or was it in Washington?
Where? Just take his word for it. Why don't you? Where's? If he was arrested, there's a record of it. This is a public record. Where? Show us. What's the guy's name? Publish the threats, just like Eric Swalwell does. You see, Eric Swalwell gets threats all the time because of the fascists and Trump and the liars. So he publishes this. Why can't I talk? He publishes them. He posts them. Let's hear it. Let's hear your death threat. If you're really getting death threats, you stinking grifter, don't you think he would post them? You don't have to give the person's name if you choose not to. And where's the arrest record? Who? Why are you covering the guy who threatened you? Why don't you publish it? There has to be a record, a police record, if he was arrested. She's just sitting there. She's just taking this asshole at his word. As if, we haven't learned anything. It's incredible. Really. I know, Kathy on the chat. Marcia, what the fuck? It's true. I mean, I watched this entire interview and I wanted to, scream. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. And this woman needs to lose her job. She needs to retire, in the very least. Just go away, Marcia. Shame on you, really. Shame on you for enabling this. Do you have to enable it? Where's the oldest or whatever political reporter in New York Where? I don't see that. You obviously learned nothing. If you've been doing this for 50 years or whatever the hell, you learned nothing, not a damn thing.
Oh no, we were in Washington. We were left a voicemail. The voicemail was
the other thing I have to ask, you know, he keeps talking about his husband. Who is his husband? We never see this husband. There's no pictures of him. There's nothing. You know, I know he supposedly had some boyfriend who he, you know, according to social media or whatever, the boyfriend fled from him. And that was apparently his, not too long ago. So who is this husband of his that we all just take at his word that he has some husband, him and his husband? We never see him. Is his name George Glass by any chance? For those who remember, where's your husband? Where? I don't get it. You know, everybody just we all of the sudden don't think he's a liar. He's a guy who lied about his mother's death. He made up a story that his mother died in the Trade Center, or she survived the Trade Center, but survived it by being 5,000 miles away at the time, and then died a few years later. He kept having to change it. A few years being 16 years when she got cancer, which had nothing to do with September 11th, of course. But that's how much of a piece of shit this person is. That's how much of a grifter, of a filthy con man grifter he is. And you better believe they are already preparing the American Greed episode. They just don't know how it's going to end. And I hope it ends with this dirtbag in jail.
It's explicit in detail of what was going to happen to myself, my husband. Oh, I'm going to come take you and your husband in an F-word derogatory term.
Bullshit. I'm going to come. Hello, George. I'm going to come and take you and your husband and, the F word, derogatory, and I'm going to take you all and blow you up. And then you'll see, my little pretty, and your little dogs, too.
I'm going to bash his brains out, make you wash it with a baseball bat. And
Oh, really? I'm going to bash your brains out and make you watch it with a baseball bat. Okay. How you watch him with a baseball bat? But anyway. Bullshit. Prove it. Is that too hard to prove it? If it's in the courts, if they actually arrested this man, then there's a record of it, and that's evidence, so it should be available. Let's do a FOIA request, Marcia. Get the record. Oh, and instead, Marcia, she's like, oh, he talked about when his husband, who nobody's ever seen, got a death threat that was so radical that they had to go into court, and the guy was arrested and shit. The whole thing, we're arrested, and poor George. Well, if that's the case, Marcia, do some journalism. Get the police report. Get the tape. The guy was arrested. That's evidence. That is available. That's available. Oh, I know. Just take the con man's word. The guy who killed the dog. The guy with the 13 properties that don't exist. The guy who squatted in an apartment in Jackson Heights and didn't pay rent thanks to the eviction moratorium. He wasn't able to be evicted, but simultaneously tweeted out how upsetting it was that he couldn't receive rent on his 13 properties because of the eviction moratorium that kept a roof over his head. When will this eviction moratorium end? It's outrageous that landlords like me can't receive rent from these deadbeats.
I'm going to take it to yours and I'm going to blow up your office.
Oh my God. I'm going to take it to yours and blow up your office. And listen to Marcia. Take it to yours. I'm going to bash her. Do you believe that? I mean, it's just such a load of bullshit. And I'm so sick of being fed bullshit from the corporate media. And nobody says anything? No one? Oh, my God. Marcia's like, holy shit. She really has fallen hook, line, and sinker for this grifter.
Yours, and I'm going to blow up your office.
Oh, my God.
So he left that in a...
Oh, my God. It's like when somebody said you got 2 knee replacements and a brain tumor. Oh, my God.
Voicemail. And
he left it in a voicemail. Well, why don't you play that voicemail? Okay? Why don't you release the transcript in the very least and the police report?
We reported it.
And when you heard it, what was your reaction?
That scared me. They were coming after my family now.
What fucking family? Let's see it. You got a family? Let's see your family.
That was very strange.
So I wonder, sometimes I think about what happened to you, and I wonder if that was actually a strategy, your decision to inflate your...
What happened to you? So she's trying to say that this is your decision to inflate your resume.
Your resume was a strategy that helps you get a larger-than-life personality in the Congress before you got there.
No strategy whatsoever. Just stupid decision. Should never do it. Should have never done it.
But you piece of dirt, Marcia. Really? Oh, no strategy. The guy is I would be surprised to know if he's even a high school graduate. This guy is a grifter. Has no business being anywhere near the halls of power. He plays the part. On one of those American Greed episodes, there was a guy who was pretending to be a member of the Saudi royal family. Of course, he was nobody. He was just some grifter like George Santos, and he dressed very well. He wore all expensive suits and expensive watches and drove in expensive cars. Everything was, of course, bullshit. It was all either stolen or fleeced somehow. But that's part of the grift. It's part of the confidence man. And that's George Santos. That's what he's doing. He sits there so respectfully in his suit, and he has his little congressional pin, and he talks, very charmingly, and of course he says her name over and over, Marcia, Marcia, Marcia. It's part of he's charming. He was charming when I met him. And he talks about so many things, like this so-called death threat that nobody could prove, and every other fucking thing he talks about is a lie. But, just take his word for it, Marcia.
In retrospect, it might have been a smart strategy.
I don't think so.
Or was it a dumb strategy?
It was no strategy for sure. It was a stupid decision. Like every human, I made a mistake, and now I'm just paying the consequences. Now there's a benefit to it, right? There's always an upside to everything.
Oh,
so
yes, sure.
Now we just need to explore it for the greater good.
I mean, see, there's a part of me that thinks it's sort of like Trump-like, because, Donald Trump seems to thrive on chaos and the things around him.
Lady,
and this
retire.
You're sort of become like a New York Trump in a sense, where you have that chaos, that energy that's floating around you. Have you ever thought about that as a comparison, and whether you can use it to your benefit?
I don't compare my...
What is she going on about? This lady, somebody needs to sit her down in an office in HR and say, "Are you, honey? Are you okay, man? I mean, are you living in the real world?" It's crazy. Am I living in cuckoo land? That's what it feels like when I watch this interview. I guess I am living in cuckoo land. I live in a place where the likes of George Santos are being taken seriously by so-called the oldest political reporter in New York, where con men are roaming around the halls of power like a bunch of flying monkeys. Children are getting massacred in malls and schools and every other place you can imagine. And I don't know. There's no repercussions. There's no consequences. That's the problem. There are no consequences. You don't get shunned like a pariah, right? I mean, this bitch gives this bitch, Katara Ravachi, whatever the fuck her name is, a platform to spread more lies. It's incredible. Yes, it is. It is cuckoo land. We are living in a fucking cuckoo land. It's cuckoo. Why don't they just name it cuckoo? And spell one of those coos like a C-O-U-P. Cuckoo. Coo.
Myself to anybody, I think that's arrogant, and I don't have that arrogant complex.
What?
A lot think that's arrogant. And
What? I can't. Listen, let's hear
this
that.
is you're sort of become like a New York Trump in a sense, where you have that chaos, that energy that's floating around you. Have you ever thought about that as a comparison and whether you can use it to your benefit?
This bitch
I don't
needs
compare
to
myself
stop.
to anybody. I think that's arrogant, and I don't have that arrogant complex. A lot of people have pointed out, like, you've been able to capture the same essence as Trump, and you've been elected to office for 4 months. There's people in Congress for 40 years that nobody knows their name. You've been there for a little over 100 days, and
You're not known for good things. You're infamous. This is not a good thing. It's not like I'm known because I'm such an incredible person. Wow. Someone needs to make this all stop. It's like, the old saying, stop the world, I want to get off. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm just like, this was in a movie. There'd be, all of a sudden, everything would start swirling, and you're like,
the whole country knows who you are.
and then you pass out, right, in the movie, and then you wake up and you're normal again. You're like, what is this? Where am I? I had this dream. I lived in this cuckoo land where you couldn't go to a goddamn grocery store without getting massacred, where you had con men sexual predators who look like Jabba the Hutt, grabbing women by the pussy and then telling everybody that they're a star, so they let you do it, and then saying that people are just too ugly to rape. Not that they wouldn't rape. And then then there was this con man who lied about everything from fake knees to brain tumors, who killed dogs and stole checks and skimmed credit cards. And he was actually on a TV show. He was not only in Congress, he was on a TV show talking about it, making shit up. And then the lady who was interviewing him was like having this serious conversation with him, and it was like, I was just banging my head against the wall going, where am I? Someone help. Right? I'm like, what is going on? Is this hell? Are we in hell? What world is this? Who wrote this world? They need to stop. It's like, it's so beyond the pale that who would believe it? Who would believe that this world exists? And then you have liars. You got so-called leaders in the House of Representatives. This leader, they keep asking him questions, and he just keeps walking by as if as if nobody's talking, because he doesn't want to say anything, because he's so afraid. That's the leader. And then they go to all these. They have these rallies where traitors are, and they're all screaming. They're screaming and taking oaths and shit to this goddamn grifter. I mean, I don't know. I thought I was. I said, is this like a surrealistic nightmare, or is this real? Did I take too much acid back in the day? Am I tripping? I mean, this is a bad trip, man. Oh, my God. Thank God I don't do drugs anymore. I don't think I'd ever return from this bad trip. It would just... Ooh. I feel like it's actually, now that I say this, I feel like I'm in a bad trip. Just nonstop. Look at this, George Santos.
I can't go out in the street without being recognized. It's uncomfortable, because I used to be a very...
You love it.
I used to be a very... I am a very private person. I like going out to dinner with my husband, with my friends, my family, and just being fun.
You have no friends.
I don't get to do that anymore.
People come up to you when you're out to dinner?
Oh, yeah. I mean...
What do they say?
I mean, it's mixed bag of feelings, right? There's some people who come up, you're great, we love you.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Please. No one goes up to him and says, you're great, we love you. Not a one. In this world of not just social media, but everybody has a phone. Show us, George. Nobody has that on tape. No one has a video of that. Bullshit. She's just sitting there like, oh, you like it? You like people? There are some people that are haters. Some people are nice. They come up, you're great. What's so great? What, that's the follow-up question, Marcia. What's so great about you? You're a grifter. You're an attention-sucking narcissist. You're a shameless sociopath who lied about his mother's death, who lied about the Holocaust, about his family dying in the Holocaust. I mean, or escaping. Escaping. Because that's more interesting. You're a shameless, bottomless, just grifter that can never get a paragraph out, much less a sentence, without a lie.
Support you, and then there's people who flip me the bird, or they say mean things, and move on with their lives, and we move on with our lives. But there's not a single instance that I can go into a restaurant without at least a dozen pictures being taken about of me having dinner with whoever I'm with.
Does that stop you?
Who's with you? Oh, Vishbara. Yes, I'm sure. And your phantom husband? Who's this husband? If there's a dozen pictures being taken all the time. Anybody got a picture of his husband?
Me from going out?
No, it doesn't. I still go out. You see all the pictures online.
So you like it?
Where's your husband, though?
Like
You like being a social media darling?
No, I don't. So I don't like the attention, but it doesn't deter me from going about my daily life. I still shop at the same places. I'm oftenly seen at the Americana Mall in my district. I'm oftenly seen at the same restaurants I always go to. I didn't change my life. People just happen to know where I am now, so they're expecting to see me there, especially when they know we're in recess and I'm in district. I feel like there's always people lurking around these areas, reporters, journalists, so it's just part of life now. You adjust.
He's in district,
we're born naked, we put clothes on, and we adjust to wearing clothes, so... We
adjusted to wearing clothes for how many millions of years, or at least the length of recorded history, prehistory. I think we've been wearing clothes for a very long time. We adjusted. Well, you adjusted to wearing men's clothes. Not that there's anything wrong with being a drag queen, except you're part of a disgusting death cult that targets and vilifies people like you, supposedly. You're a traitor on every single level. I don't know. I mean, if he talks about he's got a husband, where is he? The other thing is one of the charges that's missing from the litany of charges against this grifter is, I guess maybe the Justice Department hasn't looked into it yet. But what about that sham marriage he had? He defrauded the federal government. He defrauded immigration by marrying a woman for her to get her American citizenship. This is who they are. Do as I say, not as I do. And it was quite ironic, but perfect how the Republicans were holding a press conference talking about how some Americans, some losers are that they take federal benefits. They took COVID benefits when they didn't deserve them, and yet here the charges come out against George Santos, and one of the charges includes the fact that he took unemployment benefits while he was employed. He stole $25,000 from the unemployment in general.
I went in as a nobody, and now everybody knows who I am. I have to adjust to that and just make it part of my life and move on with it.
Oh, infamous. Please go to jail. Please, please, please.
Is it possible to make that part of your life, given the fact that there's a lot of negativity?
Look, Marcia, negative energy is energy, and I believe that energy...
I can't take this, but okay.
It can be harnessed for good. So no matter how bad they throw it at you, it's about how you apply it in life and how your outlook in life is. We're all human beings. We're all flawed. If you look inside yourself, if everybody looks inside themselves, you'll find some things that you're probably not really proud of, or things you would have done differently.
Well, I've never, killed a dog for $5,000. I've never lied about having a brain tumor, or I've never lied about my mother's death to get sympathy. My mother died. Yeah, I never said she died from some tragic event in American history, so I could glom some more attention. Even his mother's death was somehow to serve the con man.
I'm no different, right? I just have to do it in front of millions of Americans watching every time I do an interview with people like you. And I have to do it. And I've eaten that humble pie time and time again. I'm not embarrassed to do it.
Son of a bitch.
I'm ashamed of some of the decisions I've made, but I hold near and dear to me the fact that I can cope with the fact that I want to be judged by my work in this body for what I was elected for, with the propositions I gave. And I think I'm doing a good job. And I'm going to be judged in 2 years when my employers, my constituents, decide to hire me again or not.
So you've had 100 days in office. What has it been like for you, and what do you think that you've been able to do?
So in the first 100 days, it's been a learning experience, right? It's the learning curve of a lifetime. The knowledge is invaluable. And I've been able to learn my real passions for community service and for public service, and one of them is water. The quality of life of people on Long Island.
Water is a big issue on Long Island.
Water is a massive issue on Long Island.
But what have you been able to accomplish?
So far, we started to work with some water districts that have been having some issues. For a good shout out to the village of Farmingdale, who is in a state of emergency. We've put in some appropriations for them in an emergency characteristic. I've already notified the speaker of their urgency and need of the funding, and along with other communities in the district. And as the appropriations deadline approached, we got it all submitted. Now it's just about fighting for that funding. I didn't request a lot to begin with because there was a lot of politicizing. So in Nassau County, the way it works is they have the village association. The association of is a great favor for me. More time for
like rubber chicken.
Oh yes.
Party in Washington D.C. is very disconnected.
About how none of the Republicans in Nassau County are working with him, and he's like, oh, it's more time for me to be of service. You fucking wish. I mean, you don't wish. You wish that people were buying your scam. But Marcia's really buying it. She's really she's swallowing that scam and asking for seconds.
from local GOPs. I'm talking about the local GOP. I work very well with the National Party in Washington, D.C.
Kevin McCarthy is a spineless lickspittle, and he is the perfect man for the current GOP. He's got no integrity. He's got no decency. And you're thick as thieves with him. He needs you. Trust me, if they had this wide majority that was predicted, like every time a corporate media mouthpiece opened their mouth, then George Santos would be gone already. He would have been asked to resign. They would have done all they could to get rid of him. But it goes to show you how Republicans really do hate America. They don't care. They would have any sociopath in the positions of power as long as they can continue to pass their anti-American hate, their America-hating anti-democracy bills, and could destroy the American experiment thoroughly from the inside.
I have a great relationship with the Speaker. I'm supportive of the Speaker. I'm supportive of our agenda. I just don't have to show up to the rubber chicken dinners of the party locally at home, which is a great favor for me. More time for
like rubber chicken?
No, neither do you.
She's like smiling.
Let me ask you this. I know that you want to run for re-election, but the question really becomes, how can you really deliver for your district? I mean, you're on no committees. Jerry Nadler has banned you from going to the bipartisan meetings of the New York delegation. And the 11 bills that you've actually sponsored, you have no co-sponsors.
Okay.
So how do you get anything done when you're sort of a pariah in Washington?
The statement pariah, that's harsh words, because it's not true. I work very well, and I have working relationships with Democrats. I'm texting back and forth with a few of them if you looked at my phone right now.
Well, show me your phone right now. If you looked at my phone right now, you see that I'm texting with a lot of Democrats. Bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. Well, show me your phone. You don't have to show it to the camera. Show it to me. Show me what Democrats. I promise I won't say anything. Show me the Democrats you're texting with. Marcia. You failed, Marcia. Shame on you, Marcia. What is wrong with you? Are you that, have you lost your game? Did you ever have it? What is wrong with you?
Well, who are you texting? Which Democrats?
I don't put people's names out on the press because I've learned that then you guys, or not you necessarily, but the press will go attack them.
The press will attack them. Maybe the press will verify. Oh, you're working with George Santos, the con man, the grifter, the one with the dead dogs in his past, the check stealing, George Santos, wanted in Brazil, that guy.
And that would do a disservice to my district.
So basically, what you're saying is it's not considered
that's going
a
to
good
do
thing.
a disservice. If they find out what Democrats he's supposedly working with, that's going to do a disservice to the district. Not having an outright serial con man, a prolific liar, not somebody who completely fabricated and lied to the constituents, and the constituents want him out. No, that's not going to do a disservice to the district. It's knowing who this filthy grifter is working with. And Marcia's like, yeah, whatever you say. Whatever you say, con man. Okay.
To be working with George Santos?
Well, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I just don't want to give anybody the burden of having a myriad of questions coming at them. But, the landfall that comes with, oh, you're working with George Santos? Why? And then that just starts a whole trigger when in reality we're working on good things together.
You're not working on shit with anybody.
Answer your question on sponsorships. Different offices have different strategies. I know class folks who move to Long.
I am just fast forwarding a little.
Like Lawler, who's.
Oh, we're going to be up all night here. I'm going to be up all night anyway, thinking or trying to get out of this world I'm living in. I'm going to find the wormhole, the fuck out of here, into some semblance of sanity.
Widely respected and, you know, is going to face a re-election challenge of his own. And another from 3 other Republicans on Long Island who are also widely respected. And then there's you that have had some issues.
Some
bill is going to
You've had some issues.
Precedents, because they're not going to pass 3 SALT bills or even...
She's literally talking to him about the SALT bill in Long Island, this tax bill. That she's actually taking him seriously.
Me for it. I've been talking to my constituents. Yesterday I had in mobile office hours, and I.
Where? Who is talking to you? Name names.
Made that very clear to many people, Republicans and Democrats alike, like my position.
So what did Mr.
Nobody likes you or your positions. You are a fucking laughingstock.
McCarthy say...
No, I haven't told him that directly. I've made it public.
Well, now you're telling him on my show.
It's a public statement. I have my position. I have my priority.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't asked anybody to fight my battles for me. I'm fighting my own battle right now. I gave the speaker the opportunity to go negotiate with the president, and I think that that's what's most important.
He gave the speaker the opportunity to negotiate with the president. Get me out of here. Somebody, Grandma, what the fuck? What's going on? Can I go into the light yet? What's happening?
Okay, so...
he has a diverse GOP. This isn't the old GOP, right?
It's not the old GOP. No, it's the old GOP. You're just shameless and have a very sick psychopathy where you see an angle and you don't give a shit if you're gay. You know, you sell your own mother out.
Does he need your vote?
I mean, it's not about desperation. It's about respect, right? The speaker wants to pass unanimous bills as a unison from the party, and I respect him for that. Defending mass shootings have nothing to do with guns.
Oh shit! Here we go. Here. She asked him about the bill he has trying to have the friggin' AR-15 as the national gun.
SALT, no deal. He caved on to every deal. I am no SALT, no deal, period.
So one of the other bills that you're supporting as a co-sponsor is to make the AR-15 a national gun. Why is that a good position?
We have a national everything.
There's so many mass shootings.
I understand.
How can you
defend
defend
don't have any
them?
national
Marcia, it's not
pride.
about defending. Mass shootings have nothing to do with guns. They have to do with mental health because we have a bad health care system in this country.
People with mental health issues can get an AR-15.
Well, just by designating an AR-15 the national gun doesn't mean that it's wildly available. The laws are standing there. And the reality is when we're talking about people accessing guns, we need to make sure that we're holding accountable the point of sale. Are they upholding current existing laws? We have...
Eat my fucking... Oh my God, I can't. Oh my God, this fast-talking grifter.
Hundreds of gun laws on the books that are not upheld nationally. That's not...
You see how scummy the Republicans are? Everything. From through and through. Scum of the earth.
It's not the federal government's responsibility. Those are state localities that have to reinforce...
You know, how many fucking buzzwords are you going to put in there? You filth. You shameless filth.
Those laws goes to those gun shops and say, hey, are you reinforcing laws? Are you making sure that you're checking this and you're making...
Check my ass. Check out and check into jail.
Making sure they're not on registries, that they're not terrorists, criminals with...
Well, if only we could. If that we could, you piece of shit. Because in many places like Texas, like Florida, there's no check-in, you stupid scumbag. Are we going to check? Look at her just sitting there. Well, when she should have... First of all, he shouldn't even be there. And she's just sitting there having a conversation with this douchebag. Like he's a legitimate representative.
It's just there.
So you actually are telling me that you're supporting gun reform legislation?
It's not. I'm supporting gun reform legislation. The legislation's already there. I'm asking for the laws to be upheld. The laws already...
What law? What law? What law? Name it.
the books that...
Should there be stronger laws?
I think the laws are pretty strong as they stand. If you look at...
Oh, my God. You see? You see?
Them, they're just not applied.
What law? Name a law, you fucking monster. They're just not applying. Is that what it is all over the world, right? That's why America has a massacre problem. We just have... everybody has normal law. They just apply the laws in other countries, right? That's the way it is. We just don't apply them here.
That's what people fail to understand. There's a lot of people saying we should do this. That's already a law. It's just not applied because nobody's holding anybody.
No one's applying the law, my ass. You're fucking... You see what I'm saying? Because these people, these Republicans, they want more blood. They don't give a shit. They have a George Santos in the House of Representatives spewing more lies. As long as he says the same lies like they do, it's fine. As long, they'd all happily work with him because they have no integrity. It's bottomless. Yes. Kathy on the chat. Did you ever notice how grifters talk really fast? Yes, exactly. It's just like because it's part of the grift. You can't stop. It's like you're bombarded. That's how Trump is too. You know, it's just you're bombarded with the fire hose of lies, and you're like, ugh. As you're formulating the response to lie number 1, here comes lie number 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It's like you're just like, oh, enough.
Accountable. There's no oversight against the laws that are already on the books.
You're so full of shit. But anyway, which is the only response, except look at her just sitting there.
So AR-15, do you own one?
I don't. I don't own guns. Look, I like shooting. I go shooting for sport. I go into shooting range.
What guns do you shoot?
Berettas, Glocks, just pistols, just regular guns. Nothing.
You like to play spy? I'm gonna go shoot you.
No, absolutely not. Look, I'm always aiming either at a target or at a skeet when I.
Unfortunately, I know one. Oh, I can't legally and peacefully. I need to take a breath. Absolutely unfathomable that we live in a country like this with a media like this.
When I barely hit them, but
Of course I go shooting. Bullshit. Let's see it. Where's you and your Glock, your Beretta? Yeah, I shoot a Beretta. Shoot. Please, shoot. Wherever the fuck you shoot, just shoot the fuck out of here, please. Shoot yourself in prison somehow. Shoot your worthless carcass into a jail cell. Thank you very much. You know, Marcia, that's the only thing you should have said to this grifter. Why don't you shoot your carcass into a jail cell and shut the door behind you? We can all, and the rest of society can throw away the key. Because clearly we need to be protected from grifters like you. Not put grifters on a goddamn Sunday local show while the people of District 3 are pulling their hair out, trying to get rid of him. I mean, I don't even know what could be done about her, about Marcia. Yeah, is she even hearing the feedback? Because I went on if you look at the responses, everybody's appalled. Yeah, give a pathological liar a platform to pathologically lie. Nice, CBS. He can't even tell the truth about margaritas. Because he said that, oh, when life gives me lemonade, I make margaritas. I can't believe one of the biggest liars on the planet. And he has no right to call anyone a liar. And that's another thing he does in the interview. Somebody writes, you split this into 8 sections? Gross. I mean, there's not a single positive quote or comment here. What a fine young man, somebody says. Of course, that's sarcastic. A wannabe victim. Well, this douchebag says, well, he made sense on immigration. Must be a Fox News victim. We need more stand-up conservatives like this in America. I'm sure that's a sarcastic. What a joke, trying to legitimize this fraud. People are laughing at him saying, I don't have that arrogance complex. Okay, George. What's the point talking to him? He's just going to lie and lie some more. Yeah, he should. That's it. But there's Marcia. What does she expect, you know?
Try. It's pretty fun.
So you're never going to buy an AR-15?
No. I don't feel the need to own one.
What's wrong with you, Marcia?
Well, because it's manufactured
What's
in
wrong
America.
with Marcia?
It's made out.
This is the day after the mall shooting, of course. The mall massacre. So you're never going to buy an AR-15, George? Yeah, because they're such a fun thing. We just don't have too many of. We don't have enough of them. Like Greg Abbott says, pick up the pace, buy more. Everybody should have a gun. More guns.
Oh, but I don't take money from lobbyists, Marcia. If you ever look at all my stuff.
Money,
oh my God.
You're playing up to them as for their support.
No, I'm not. Like I said, I don't need their support because I don't accept their money. I don't take lobbying money.
So let me ask you this question. I know that you're friends with Marjorie Taylor.
Where's the 700,000? Where'd that come from? What about all the money that the Justice Department now found that you grifted and laundered so you could buy expensive designer clothes for yourself and pay your bills, pay some of your debt? That's what he did with all the money he grifted. He also got some Botox. She talks about this, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Green and Lauren Boebert, are you trying to, how do you build relationships in Washington, and who would you say are your friends that you could count on if you went to them and say, hey, I need your support on a bill, say SALT or something else?
Look, it's about you know, you wash my hand, I wash your hand, I support your bill, you support my bill. A lot of people come to me for support for co-sponsorships because they know it'll get attention, and they're trying to get their bill.
Yes, because you need notoriety. You're like, George, help me out here. You're such a famous rep. I need my bill. I want to get some attention to it. Some attention where it's going to be considered a laughing stock because your name is on it, but okay, that's a real story that I could believe, right? Yeah, except it's not.
Notoriety, right? So
you're talking about your notoriety as a positive thing.
Well, that's how you can turn lemons into margaritas, as I said earlier.
So
use it for something positive.
You're using your notoriety to be a lawmaker.
Well, yeah, you have to.
Someone needs to do something about Marcia.
You work with what you have in D.C., whether if it's your deep connections in the establishment, whether it's the ability to get coverage on the media, whether it's your ability to go on a platform and tweet something.
What are you covering? What kind of coverage are you getting? You're a joke. You're late night fodder. No one wants to be associated with you. And she's like, oh, you're using your notoriety to do something like sit on my TV show and shovel shit down my throat. Except everyone who's watching the show doesn't seem to be as impressed as the host, who looks like she's easily impressed, I guess. Could you imagine if this was back in time and she was interviewing Ponzi? You know, what's the first guy? The Ponzi? Well, where the name Ponzi came from. Ponzi scheme. Ponzi scheme. Origins. Because it's the guy's name, yeah. Charles Ponzi. Well, tonight on this show of mine, The Point with Marcia Kramer, we're sitting down with Charles Ponzi. Charles, you have an incredible fund that is just not without measure. No one can fail when they put money in this fund. How do you do it, Charles Ponzi? Well, you see, Marcia, I take lemons and make margaritas out of them. I just take that money and I do a little hokey pokey and turn myself around, and all of a sudden, it's manna from heaven, Marcia. Wow, that's so interesting, Charles Ponzi. Can I get in on this? I have, I'm going to retire in like 2 years. Can you take my entire savings and put it into your never fail investment? Of course I can, Marcia. Oh, wow. Ponzi, Charles Ponzi is really using his notoriety for good. Taking everyone's money and multiplying it ad infinitum. Thank you so much for sharing that with me, Charles. You seem so legitimate. I bet that Charles was a fast talker, too.
And millions of people see it at the same time. Whether they agree or disagree with you, at least it's out there now. Now it's a conversation point.
Oh, yes.
So I need to use that to my advantage.
The delusion is astonishing as well. Somebody needs to write a 10-page paper on this. If you're in a psychology course, take this interview and just dissect it. Write a 10-page paper, at least. That's your assignment. Because it's fascinating. It's a glimpse into a very sick, dark, depraved mind and the admirers of that dark, depraved mind.
Because that's the best way I can represent my district.
So you like your notoriety?
I don't like it, but I'm using it to the advantage that it gives me.
It could sort of be like a strategy.
Now if you're talking strategy, yeah, sure. You take what...
Look at her. Look at her. It's like a strategy. I don't understand what's wrong with this bitch. It's like, why don't she interview Trump about his grabbing women by the pussy? Well, that's kind of a strategy, the way you grab people by the pussy, and even though they don't like it, it's like a magnet. You just start kissing. You kiss, kiss, kiss. Without you could say that's some kind of sexual prowess or something, but whether people like it or not, that's also it could be said that that's a strategy, right? Marcia. I'm Marcia. And I've been doing this for many, many years. So many years, I'm numb. Clearly, my brain is numb.
You were given and you turn it into something.
So I'm wondering why you decided to run for Congress in the first place.
I think we addressed that when I was here.
Because he wanted health care and a pension. That's what he said. He told his friends. Does she do any... did he just fucking drop in 5 minutes before air and she did no research on this grifter? And does she legitimately think he's an actual representative? His friends, his roommates, the ones he stole from and stiffed on the rent, said that he would talk about he wanted to become a congressman because he would get health care and a pension for life. That's why. Do you do any research, Marcia? Oh, it doesn't take long. Just Google it.
I wanted to be a part of something different and change. I wanted to be a voice. I wanted to go fight for the people. I like my neighbors and my community. And
fight for the people. If you wanted to fight for the people, there would be some evidence of that in your history, right? There wouldn't be the grift, the lies, the fake resume, the stealing, the killing of dogs. I wanted to fight for the people. That's why it's Trump, just like Trump. He's a man of the people now. All these dumbasses think he's fighting for them. He's fighting for them because, and to them, fighting for them means he's just as racist as they are. That means you're fighting for them. But, Trump, he's such a man of the people. You would think there would be at least one story, something, in his entire useless life on this planet, on this poor, suffering planet, where Trump did something for somebody other than himself. There's not a single example of Trump doing something for the underdog, for the working class. In fact, quite the opposite. There are story upon story, and not just anecdotal stories, but court cases of Trump stiffing workers, robbing them, not paying people, and attacking them, attacking tenants on Social Security, on fixed incomes, people who can't fight back. But there's, George Santos wants to do something. He wants to contribute. He wants to serve the people by stealing from them. Stealing from the dumbasses stupid enough to give him money so he can buy his fancy suits, so he could continue the grift. He's got to look the part.
Just leave my mark in some weird way
of
how I try to improve society.
So how were you say you're running for re-election?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you going to convince people in Long Island to re-elect you, given all the controversy and the fact that your own party, the Republican Party, says they're going to back somebody else?
It's fine. Look, I don't represent the Republican Party of Nassau County. I represent the constituents of Nassau County, the 700,000 plus employers that I have. Those are my constituents.
Who want you gone. Gone. Gone Girl. That's what they want. You see that movie, Gone Girl? That's you. They want you to be Gone Girl.
Right, that's who I work for. I don't care what the party says.
What if they run ads against you?
What if they run ads? Oh, this is the Marcia George Brain Trust. What if they run ads, George, against you? Don't do any research, Marcia. They've been holding rallies against him. The constituents, the people he works for. They have rallies in front of his office. And it happens all the time. It hasn't gone away. They call his office. They protest in front of his office. They say, resign, con man.
Fine, let them run ads against me. Every dollar that the GOP spends against a Republican, that means they're not defending other seats that they have to defend, which is stupid, if we're being honest, on a strategy level, right?
If we're being honest, if that we were. If only.
If they want to run a primary,
they're going to also run ads supporting whoever candidate they pick.
That's totally fine. Go ahead, do it.
Marcia,
I'll raise the money.
So far, you haven't been so good at raising money.
I didn't raise any money in the beginning of the year. I didn't attempt. I was too busy taking care of other issues.
Yes, other issues like going to designer clothing stores with other people's money.
And I didn't try. I didn't try, and I started raising.
You didn't try because nobody's giving you shit. You had to return the money that people donated.
Now, and I, in good confidence, can say that I'm doing very well.
So, how much have you raised so far? You're not going to tell me?
You're going to wait and see.
I bet we are. We're going to wait and see, Marcia. You are really nailing this interview, lady. This is going to go up there with Dick Cavett and Nixon.
Violence. Come on, Marcia. You should know better than that.
I don't. I ask questions on my show. So what do you say to your critics who are going to say, they raise questions about...
Your critics. Everyone's just picking on him.
How you got there in the first place, that you didn't get there in a legitimate way.
Well,
yes, not legitimate in any way, shape, or form. It's just not legitimate. What are you going to say to those critics? That's just criticizing you unfairly and unjustly.
I got there in a legitimate way. I was elected by the people.
I
right?
know, but
on a mountain of lies. They elected the guy who is a financier of Spider-Man After Dark. You know, the guy who worked for Goldman Sachs, the guy who went to Baruch, the guy who worked for Citibank, the guy who had 2 knee replacements, who graduated from Baruch and then went on to NYU grad school. That's the guy they elected. You know, the guy whose mother died of 9/11 illness. The one whose grandparents escaped the Holocaust. That's the guy they elected. So they might have went to the polls and said, I want this prolific, well, they didn't say that. They said, I want the guy who financed Spider-Man After Dark. He might have failed, but he swung for the fences. You know, that guy, the guy who's so smart. He's like a wonderkind. The guy who manages over $6 billion in money, real fucking money. That's what he said. He had all this. He ran a fund, which makes him a real genius, you know, of finance. And that's what Republicans like. You're a genius of finance if you figure out ways to separate people from their money and make your own. You know, just suck money into your pockets, fuck everybody else. Who gives a shit? Let them eat cake. Let them, whatever. Let them die. Let them go die at the mall. Who cares? National gun, AR-15, you know, boom, boom, boom. I love to shoot.
I have the First Amendment right? People can say whatever they want.
The First Amendment right to lie. You do, but if that we all, you know, if you want something, even though you're not qualified, why not? Hey, yeah, I'll make up a resume. It's like Dr. Death. Yeah, I'm a surgeon. Look at me. I'm a surgeon. I'm a pilot. I'm an Olympic athlete. I'm an astronaut. Look at me. Wee.
It's not likable, right? But here's a reality.
Your First Amendment.
It's not likable.
Right to say whatever you want and make up your own.
I didn't look
your own version of facts.
If you want to go off and rehash whatever the media puts out there,
rehash what the media puts out there. You see, he's a victim. He's doing the Trump thing, but
a lot of it has been dispelled. I've sent a lot of information.
Dispelled. It's been dispelled. He sent a lot of things. This is what he's saying, that to the media, but they just don't report it. He's debunked all the lies that they uncovered. Which lies aren't lies? You mean you do have 2 knee replacements? You mean you do have a brain tumor? You mean your mother really was at 9/11 even though she was 5,000 miles away and nowhere near the United States? You mean you did work for Citibank and Goldman Sachs? You really are a financier? You really... Where'd you get your $700,000? Oh, I'll tell you what. I didn't get it from Burisma. Oh, I can't wait till you go to jail.
Information backing and discrediting a lot of their reporting. They just don't want to report on it.
Bullshit. Like what? Where's your follow-up, Marcia? This is it. Hit him now. Hit him. You played rope-a-dope this whole time, Marcia. Now get him. Hit him back. What do you mean? Which ones they don't want to report? Which lies are true? And the media still says are lies because they're just not reporting it. That dirty, dirty media.
So I guess the next question I would ask you is this. You know there were investigations of you in Congress, both ethics violations and the financial
24 hours later.
records. Have you had to testify before any of these people who were investigated?
Well, look, it's an ongoing investigation of the facts, and I'm not going to comment on ongoing investigations.
Yes, because I learned that. That's the pat answer for Republicans. When they have an uncomfortable question, they won't respond because it's an ongoing investigation, you know.
responsible and it's not prudent, but I've been compliant and giving everything that's asked of me.
And have you been able to explain where the money came from for your campaign that you say that you contributed?
Like I said, we're not there yet, and
we'll be there
I won't
pretty quickly.
debate what the investigation entails until it's concluded, and I'll come back on your show and give you a full detail of it.
No, unless you can get that feed in prison. Okay, we can get a prison line in the phone call. We can hook the prison phones up to our phones, and that'll be fine.
To talk to you about immigration.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a huge issue.
Ma'am. Oh, whatever. Let's fast forward because he's making me sick.
And they're busted into a hotel room later. But the reality is I have to be loyal to my constituents. We don't have the infrastructure. Platform is the same. Continue the progress that we're making in the House, led by the Republicans. Your best interest in Congress. I think that's very important.
So you have introduced a number of bills.
Historic bills in some natures, too.
I mean, but some of them...
If I do say myself, I just don't have that arrogant thing happening. I cannot... Don't compare me to Trump. I don't compare myself to anybody. I don't have that arrogant thing. But historic bills, like the Minaj bill, where her cousin's balls exploded, and I wrote a bill about it.
She was very pro-choice on
whatever
for your district.
What did you get in exchange for supporting the cattle fever tick eradication?
I'm building. Raised to be polite. I was raised to always be cordial.
Oh shit!
But explain to me your relations with other congressmen. I mean, do you find that they're hesitant to put their arms around you publicly because of the notoriety that you have?
I mean, if you just look at the way I carry myself on the House floor, I talk to as many people as humanly possible. I talk to people on the other side. I say hello, good morning. I was raised to be polite. I was raised to always be cordial. If anybody's
always be cordial, because it helps when it puts people off guard when you are picking their pockets. That you just say, hey, good morning, how you doing? And then turn around and start taking money out of their wallet. They won't ever suspect you because they're like, that guy, that nice guy who said good morning every day is also robbing me.
Trying to insult me. I still try to, kill them with kindness.
Kill them in kindness? They're trying to insult you by telling you that you should resign because you're a disgrace, and you just can't fathom reality because there's something very fundamentally sick about you. But don't worry, Marcia. There must be something sick about you too. It's like two sickies colliding in an interview.
But I talk to folks that to the extent of my knowledge, there's no people other than the New York Republicans who disparage me and go after me publicly. I haven't experienced that at large, not even with the Democrats.
Do you have any friends in the New York delegation?
Yeah, sure, I do. Look, I'll put it this way. I don't want to put people on the spot, but I have a great working relationship with Congresswoman Grace Meng. We have bordering districts. My office has reached out to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because we have a common interest that we have that benefits our district, and we're trying to set up a meeting.
You two couldn't be further apart.
And yet, I would be willing to work with her.
Is she willing to work with you?
Well, I don't know that yet.
I mean, she's.
You called her. I could call anybody and say I have a relationship with them. I just called up Joe Biden, and I'm like, I'm working on it. Okay, we have a relationship.
Left of center Democrat, and you are definitely right of center Republican.
So let's do
Marcia,
this.
You're
I'm
nailing
co-sponsoring
this
her bill this week to ban independence, to ban stock trading for members of Congress. That's how much sometimes.
You're co-sponsoring her bill?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Did she say?
I put in the request. I want to co-sponsor. It's a great bill.
And would you support that bill?
Of course. I don't think members of Congress should trade stocks.
Oh, eat my
housekeeping in our defense budget, because it's, as I'm learning, there's a lot of
is our nuclear defenses. So it's,
we're engaged.
Can you believe this? I mean, I know this has been going on the whole show, but I guess this is the show at this point. It's unreal.
Engaged in supporting Ukraine and
Because New York City and New York are going to be a prime target, God forbid, if there was ever an attack either by Russia.
You keep saying that.
And she's asking this fucking high school graduate con man crook who's wanted in Brazil about actual things that affect people's lives. She's talking about terrorism with this complete fraud. Why don't you ask him about, I don't know, some medical issue you might have, Marcia. He's as qualified to respond about that as he is to talk about terrorism and global whatever, politics, anything.
Come on. No, I think I leave it to the capable hands of the people who are in charge of making those decisions. Look, if they think that the Republicans should just stop this.
So you're saying you're going to support
Donald Trump?
Oh, no. He says he's going to support Donald Trump.
Yes, indictments should be taken seriously, but a lot of Americans hear the word indicted and associate it with guilt. Indictments are formal accusations in order to have a proceeding. So it's a formal accusation. He's innocent until proven guilty.
Thank you for explaining all these big things to us, George. How did we get where we are without you?
It's just a procedural matter.
Convicted.
Which I don't foresee. What Alvin Bragg did was a political stunt. Actually unbecoming of...
Oh, my God. Unbecoming of an attorney general. Says the con man, who didn't sponsor or finance Spider-Man After Dark.
Proven guilty, and I don't believe he's going to be found guilty.
So if he was proven guilty, would that change your support?
I mean, if the man's convicted, he can't even run for office.
That's not true.
I mean, how could you? That's my question.
He says he's going to.
Watch him. Watch Trump.
Okay.
Watch George.
So would you change your mind?
I think Trump did great for this country. I think he was
She is pressing him on this, like as if it matters. You're going to support him, this guy? Hey, con man, are you going to support the other con man? What do you think?
Great president, the fiscally...
And she's checking her notes now. She's got a lot of questions written down.
Economically, look at where we were, look at where we are.
Look at where we were, look at where we are. Trump did such a great job. Yeah, just look at where we were and look at where we are. We were in some kind of hellhole. Now we're in a hellhole. Now when we were under the con man, it was all nothing but ice cream for breakfast. It was rainbows. Everybody had a rainbow shooting out of their ass. Remember that, Marcia? We were flying on the wings of angels. And every time Trump said, horse face, an angel got its wings. So look at where we are now. It's like a nightmare. It's a surrealistic nightmare. There's con men running all over the halls of Congress who won't resign. So it's like chaos. It's upside down world now. Con men, coup plotters are getting time on CNN, and con men are in the CBS studios where Edward R. Murrow used to have a show. I mean, look at where we are now. We were back in the day. There was, when Trump was in office, all it took, he just never came to work before 1 p.m. and then went on the golf course and did nothing but put more money into the hands of the rich, and everything was fucking great. Remember, it was great, especially, 1 million people died, but okay. Worldwide pandemic, and nobody, was prepared, but okay. But that only happened in the blue states at first, so who cares, right? And then everybody was like, take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine, and then it was a perfect opportunity to split people apart. So, that's what Trump did, because that's what he does, and it was wonderful. It was nothing but wondrous events of sexual assault, calling women fat pigs, blood coming out of there, you know what? Horse face, horse. That was like, no one remembers when Trump first christened Stormy Daniels, the porn star that he sexually whatever, that he put his smaller than average Mario Kart or Toad from Mario Kart looking penis into, because he could, because he's a star and they let you do it. But no one remembers that fateful day when he christened her horse face. I remember it, and it was wonderful. You know, you don't hear any of that now. You don't hear horse face, fat pig. When you're a star, they can let you do it. Except in the New York, in the rigged jury system, where a jury of your peers find you guilty of being a sexual predator. And now, it was just, now it's nothing. Now there's no horse face coming out of the President of the United States' mouth. What kind of country is this? It was wonderful when the con man, remember when he was at the 75th anniversary of the Normandy invasion, where all those losers gave their life fighting fascism? Those losers, remember? Well, I don't know. He doesn't get, well, why? Losers. What do you do? Why would you do that? I don't get it. Bunch of losers. But anyway, it made a nice backdrop for him to call the Speaker of the House at the time Nervous Nancy. Now there's no nicknames coming out of the Oval Office. And it sucks. I think Trump was the best president we ever had. The best president for nicknames and little schoolyard bully taunts. Now, all we get is, the CHIPS Act. $35 insulin, no thanks to Republicans. Only for Medicaid. That's all we get. We don't get all this low unemployment. Not a horse face in the whole bunch. I just don't get it, Marcia. It was a time of wondrous wonders. It was like living in the wonderland of sophomoric bully taunts and income disparity and upward immobility. And also death. You remember how wonderful it was, Marcia? With all those mobile corpse receptacles on the street, when the refrigerated morgues, that makeshift morgues for all those corpses that were overflowing in the funeral homes, because just like the freedom to go shoot people at a mall, we got the freedom not to give a shit about anybody and infect them with COVID, while our glorious dim leader tells them to go inject themselves with bleach. Tells them, remember that, Marcia? That was fabulous. And then you had a bunch of morons that would show up. They made a whole page. All these Facebook pages popped up about how much ivermectin, how much horse paste should I ingest? Because God help me, I'm not taking this vaccine. I'm not listening to the advice of those deep state doctors telling me to take a vaccine on top of the other vaccines I've had in my life. I never got polio. That's how do you think I feel? Maybe I wanted polio, but they made me take a vaccine. If I had polio, maybe I could have did something. I could have been a movie of the week. It's nice, they hear nice living in an iron lung. But I'm glad to say, measles is back. Wonderful. Why did I click that? No, down. Oh, God. And this is the other thing. You know, Marcia, all these fucking scum, Trumpanzee, goddamn cultists, they're all like, oh, it was the best. It was the best of times. It was the best of times. We could say the N-word. A con man could just continue to lie and suck on dictator ass on the international stage and embarrass the United States. But it's okay. Marcia, don't you remember those beautiful glory days? Yeah, nobody ever asked these people, what are you talking about? What was so great? You know, specifics, and it drives me up a wall. No specifics. We'll just have to fill in the blanks, whatever. Choose your own adventure of fabulous things that happened during the Trump administration. Like what? Oh, remember how everyone was allowed to say the N-word? Oh, it was terrible. How put upon people were being canceled. Now everybody's canceled. Back in the day, it was great during Trump when M&Ms were wearing high heels. You could just tan your balls without any liberal bitch, horse face, looking down on you. Oh, Marcia Kramer.
To say he added more to the deficit than any other president in modern history. Of course, he had a global pandemic on his plate.
No, bitch. He added more. You fucking liar, Marcia. He added more to the deficit before the pandemic. I don't mean to scream in your ear. Before the pandemic, you goddamn shameless. I'm talking to you, Marcia, because that's your job. To push back on the con man. The con man's going to lie, and then you're supposed to be prepared with the follow-up. He's saying that, of course he added more to the deficit. We had a worldwide pandemic that he ignored and politicized, which led to the death of over a million. Which, if all things were equal and we had a response comparable to our peer countries, the amount of death would have been cut to down 3/4. Except, needless death. We like that here. Needless death. That's the American way. Of course he had a deficit. I'm going to lie and blame the pandemic, even though it's not why he exploded the deficit. Is because of his tax scam. His GOP tax scam that funneled more money into the arms of the rich and allowed the rich to pay no taxes. That's why. We're still paying for it. 1/4 of the deficit is the tax cuts. The others are the Bush tax cuts. And then you have the war of choice that Bush lied us into. That's the deficit. It's all Republican. These scumbags.
He had to. And if he hadn't, you would have said he was a genocidal lunatic. So this is the quandrum that he gets caught and put in every time. Trump was
You're a liar.
Great president for this economy. He was a great administrator. He ran the country like a business, and people did better. And they were
they weren't
better off for him.
No, they're not.
But
I'm not shy about saying that I support him.
Yes, you're very bold.
I think he will be the next president of the United States again.
Well, what does it matter? You'll be in jail and you won't be able to vote.
The Democrats are hoping that that's not the case. In fact, the Democrats say they want to have Trump run because they think it can help them recapture all those Republican seats. Read that to mean your seat, that the seats that went Republican
really
the last election.
I can see some seats could be reclaimed, but
will your seat be reclaimed?
Absolutely not. Whether it's me or another Republican will win it, because a seat that voted 10% for Joe Biden and then swung to 8.5% for me, that's not a seat Joe Biden picks up or the Democrats pick up no time soon. That is a Republican seat, Marcia.
Are there other seats on Long Island that you could see reverting back to the Democrats?
Who cares? Let's get to it.
But what about the other Republican seats? Mike Lawler, Mark Molinaro, Saturday talk show.
Okay, wait.
So, Congressman, you've been the fodder of late-night comedians. You've been a favorite
here we go.
joke on a lot of these Saturday talk shows, Saturday Night Live and others. I wonder if you have a favorite joke
my channel
that's been told about you that actually made you laugh.
Newsworthy.
There was one. And it became a jargon in our office. So everybody's fizzing about my name because I have a long name, George Anthony DeVolder Santos. I went by Anthony my entire life because of my mom, and then eventually professionally I started using George as an adult. But there was this Boeing Yang reiterate.
Because why? Who does that? Who changes their name? I was George DeVolder, Anthony Santos, whatever, and then I started going by Anthony, and now I'm George. Who does that except somebody who doesn't want to be found? You don't change your name. I'm going by this. Now I'm going by that. Now I'm going by George DeVolder, Anthony Santos, or whatever the fuck my name is. I'm going by Anthony. I'm going by George. I'm going by... Nobody does that. And it's normal. You're not, some kind of lord from living in the goddamn bogs of Scotland, asshole. You don't get a laundry list of names.
On Saturday Night Live that he essentially says George Santos and then folds his hand and goes, but Miss DeVolder if you're nasty. So I thought that was funny. And in the office we always joke around if I'm in a mood because I'm antsy and I want to see legislative text and stuff like that. They're like, oh boy, Ms. DeVolder's in town today. He
gets antsy when he's not producing for the constituents, everyone. Yes, because he's just constantly working for other people. He's thinking about others all the time.
Because I'm antsy, so it's become a jargon.
Listen,
it's funny.
Here, it gets worse.
But look, I don't think any of them did a good job because they don't know me and there's not enough historic footage of me on camera for them to understand my mannerisms. The only thing they could get right is my look, which is great. It's flattery.
So if you could do it...
You're a sociopath. It's not great. You're being mocked. You are not famous. You're infamous. And you should be ashamed. Not flattered.
Could tell a joke yourself on yourself. What joke would you tell?
Oh, I always do the self-deprecating jokes, the fat jokes. Those are easy, so I have fun with those.
So,
Or I also make fun. So here's a great one. People like to make fun of me. Oh, he has fake lips. He has Botox. He has this. I'm like, well, at least I could afford it. Most people.
Do you have fake lips?
Oh.
Ha, ha, ha. That just shows you who he is. Typical Republican. I got fake lips. They laugh at me. At least I can afford it. You see? That goes right up there with Horseface. Because he's always working for the constituents. You see? That's what you do when you're a real servant of the people. You mock those who can't afford Botox. Because you are, that shows you. When you can afford shit, when you can have all this material shit, that means you're better than those who can't afford it. At least I can afford it. Oh, and he had to interrupt her. Oh, wait, I got a good one for you. This one really knocks them dead at the soup kitchen. When I'm there in my constituent services, when I'm there, being a man of the people. And I go around it with the less fortunate. I'm always thinking of the less fortunate and how fortunate I am not to be less fortunate. I'm like, at least I can afford it. Now, who thinks like that? Yeah, it's right out of a sociopath playbook, of course. At least I have this nice suit that I stole. This nice watch that I stole, that I grifted. Everyone, just look at me. Look at how well I am. How I'm doing so much better than you because you can't afford Botox. Fake lips. He does have fake lips. That he's a sick bitch.
One. People like to make fun of me. Oh, he has fake lips. He has Botox. He has this. I'm like, well, at least I could afford it. Most people.
Do you have fake lips?
Oh, Marcia.
I mean, you brought it up.
Marcia.
You brought it up. Do you have fake lips? What's wrong with you, Marcia? The question isn't do you have fake lips. It's what's wrong with you? Is that very, man of the people? To mock people for not being able to afford Botox, of all things? Are you, I mean, and you want me to believe you're working for your constituents. And it just blows right by her. At least I can afford it. Oh, that's a good one, George.
I wouldn't tell.
Can I use that one next time that I have to pee on somebody, on the peons? I have to trickle on the peons? I'll say, at least I can afford it. Oh, that's going to wow them at the soup kitchen, George. They're going to love you there. They know how much work you're doing for them. A little self-deprecate. Oh, wait, Marcia, I got a good one for you. At least I'm not a pores.
Tell you that.
You wouldn't tell me that? Here we're having this wonderful conversation. You won't get after you brought it up.
I represent Long Island. I can't tell you these things. These are trade secrets.
Yes, there's too many assholes there who fell for my grift. Trade secrets, fake lips, disparaging remarks. Oh, when I tell jokes, I like to do the self-deprecating. Well, that doesn't sound very self-deprecating, does it? It sounds deprecating and disparaging to people who can't afford Botox. Of all things, Botox. Yeah, which shows what a self-serving, self-centered narcissist you are. Oh, you got Botox. Your lips are fake. At least I can afford it. Like, who cares? You know what? You don't insult people. You insult yourself by saying things like that. But that's how sick he is. And there is Marcia going, really? Do you have Botox? When she entirely misses the point, of course. Saying, are you in therapy, by the way? But really, there's no need for him to go to therapy because there is no cure for malignant narcissism. It has to be isolated. You have to stay away from the narcissist because they will destroy you. And you certainly don't give a narcissist power, illegitimate power on top of it. He's such a narcissist, he thinks he deserves to be in Congress. Which says it all. He is, it's one thing if he is a nothing, is a superficial nothing, and that's what gets him elected. It's another thing to be a filthy liar. And Marcia's just like yucking it up.
So I want to go back to the debt ceiling for a second.
Please,
I mean, do
Marcia.
you think that there will be some kind of...
Oh, can you believe it?
Doing anything to...
She's asking him a legitimate question as if he's illegitimate. Grandma, Are you coming to get me in anytime soon? This place is nuts.
And to put us.
So where do you see the compromise?
I think there's going to be lots of compromise. The reality is they're going to want
all right,
down a little bit of the debt.
So we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversation continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York.
Shame on you, Marcia. Shame. 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 Marcia. You know what we need to do to Marcia? Wait.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Exactly.
Shame. Shame.
There goes Marcia.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Incredible. Oh my God, incredible. 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 Where do we live, everybody? All right, let me check in with you guys. Where are you? Where are you? Thank you, Covert White Rabbit, for your super chat. And mainstream media journalists have become as morally bankrupt as our politicians. Nobody holds these people accountable. When will we see justice? Absolutely. Absolutely. You didn't know what that is, Robin? That's from Game of Thrones. It's a famous scene where they made Cersei do the walk of shame. 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 Yeah, that should have been Marcia. Maybe she'd learn then. Unreal. It's unreal. It is. It's the truth. There's no accountability. The mainstream media is disgusting. So, all right. Anyway, I'm looking at the time. It's time to go to bed. I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't expect the whole show to be George Santos on CBS. But who knows? By Friday, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I don't know if he'll be in jail by then, but he'll have to go to court. He stands, I think, 20 years at least? Some of the let me see this. Hold on. George Santos. How many years in jail? How many years in jail? Oh, yes. He faces 20 years in prison on felony charges. I hope they throw the book at him. That's what needs to happen. If he doesn't resign, and he'll have to take a plea, and hopefully that plea will include some jail time. You see, I don't think he's going to get off scot-free without going to jail. And I would, if I were you, and because I am me, if I were me and am me, I will be calling my congressperson to tell her to do what she can to urge not only George Santos and the House of Representatives to expel. I mean, not only for the House of Representatives to expel the con man, but to do all she can to ensure that the Justice Department throws the book at him. You know, he needs to go to jail. He will go to jail for whatever the length of time may be. That's going to be the issue. Will he get the full 20 years? We can only hope. But I really do believe that he should get as many, I mean, it might not be 20 years. This is how it goes. But if he was smart, he would plead and then maybe not get 20 years, but there will be some jail time involved. And whether the fact is, if he continues to fight it and proclaim himself innocent, which shows that he learned nothing and takes no responsibility, and then they have him dead to rights, which is what they do. They have him. There are receipts. This is the Justice Department. I'm sure they know where the fraud is. They're going to be able to expose it. They're going to be able to do forensic accounting on all of his campaign finance and all the lies, all the $199 fake whatever charges that he put down. He thinks everybody's a dumbass. And the $700,000, that will be the source of that will be revealed if they don't already know it already. If they don't know it already, I should say. I would be surprised. I'm sure they know it. They know, to charge him with money laundering. They know what he's done. It's not like they're like, what do you think? Money laundering? Wire fraud? What do you guys think? Let's try that. They have the receipts already. So this is from Business Insider. It says federal prosecutors brought a 13-count indictment against George Santos. He pleaded not guilty to all 13 counts. And then, of course, I'm sure you saw the video of him, or the clip of him, saying that he's, it's a witch hunt. And why is he... Here, I'll play it. Why not? It's late.
4 months, 5 months. I'm indicted. I'm going to fight.
He can't believe that he's only been in Congress for 4 months and he's already indicted. Pay no attention to the prolific lies and all of the crimes he committed, but okay, he should be allowed to get away with it, I guess.
And I'm getting back to that. I'm going to fight my battle. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to fight.
Whoops, sorry. Why I keep hitting that button?
Have my defense of that. No, I gave you 2. Go ahead.
Congressman,
it's a little low, I know. Wait. Why is that so low?
Look, this is the beginning of the ability for me to address and defend myself. We have an indictment.
That's Vish Burra, guys. Right there. The guy with he's always with Santos. It's not his husband. That's why I wonder, where's his husband? Where's his husband? His husband just got indicted. Where's his husband?
We have the information that the government wants to come after me on, and I'm going to comply. I've been compliant throughout this entire process. I have no desire not to comply at this point. They've been gracious in there. Now I'm going to have to go and fight to defend myself. The reality is it's a witch hunt, because it makes no sense
people
that
laughing.
in 4 months, 5 months,
it makes no
I'm
sense.
Indicted. You have Joe Biden's entire family receiving deposits from nine family members receiving money from foreign.
That's a good con man. You put a little bit of detail in there, and then people are like, wow, he's got the goods. 9 family members. What 9? What? Who? Major the dog? Who? What? The niece? Well, of course, Hunter Biden. Never mind Jared Kushner. Just Hunter. But who? The niece, the brother-in-law, the sister-in-law. Who? Who are you talking about? 9. A whole 9 family members. As if that matters. Anyway, even if that were true, and it's not. But you go to court and you say, but Your Honor, Joe Biden, what about Joe Biden's 9 family members? They were able to steal and grift, and which is bullshit, of course, but But Your Honor, I only killed 15 people. What about this guy who killed 20?
Foreign destinations into their bank accounts.
What?
It's been years of exposing.
Like, he's only been in Congress for 4 months, and yes, he knows all about this. He knows all about what the inner workings of Joe Biden's dirty dealing, which is, of course, is bullshit. Oh, God.
A lot of you here have reported on them, and yet no one.
We have? Like what? What? Got a example?
Investigation is launched into them. I'm gonna fight. I'm getting back to that. I'm gonna fight my battle. I'm gonna deliver. I'm gonna fight the witch hunt. I'm gonna take care of clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that.
Oh, I look forward to it too. I sure do. Oh, God help us. And then he pleaded not guilty. The congressman for months has been pressured to resign, of course. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. Let's get to the bottom. I'm losing my voice, as you can hear. The federal magistrate judge overseeing the arraignment restricted his travel between New York and Washington. Lucky us. Santos is required to receive permission from pretrial services if he wants to travel anywhere else. After the hearing, Santos told reporters he plans to fight blah, blah, blah. Well, what's the charges? Federal prosecutors unsealed a 13-count indictment, including charges of wire fraud, money laundering, and theft of public funds. Prosecutors accused Santos, the embattled GOP lawmaker, who's admitted to lying about his resume, of stealing supporters' money. They all do. That's Steve Bannon, right? Illegally taking unemployment payouts and lying to Congress. Of course he did. He's going to jail. The congressman turned himself into custody in Melville on Long Island before being transported to a federal courthouse. He was released on $500,000 bond. And you know who? And there were apparently 3 anonymous assholes who posted his bond. So, who are these people? Because they need, I mean, it's a party of bottomless greed and lack of dignity. Oh, hello, Francis. Come here. We got Francis here. How you doing? Come here. Francis is very polite. Look at the camera, Francis. Look at. He taps on my leg. He's like, "Hello, can I come up?" And he's quiet too. He's very quiet. All right. Let's see. And thank you, Robin M, for your super chat. Swift justice for all them starting from now on. Let's all pray and hope. All right, guys, I gotta go. I'm losing my voice. I need to go to get unconscious. I need to let Tara Jr. out of the bedroom. Remember. Well, we will win. We will win. Hopefully sooner rather than later. And if you can, become a patron. Please do at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. Tell your friends to come hang out. And everything else. You know what to do. Give the show a good review on iTunes if you can. Well, I know you can, but whether you want to do it, I don't know. It's getting depressing. All right, guys. We will win. I don't have the cat cam set up. That's the problem. Come on. That's why you can only see the tail. And I need to get different. The reason I'm sitting down now instead of standing is some of my wires are too short and I can't lift it because it's been disconnecting the wire. I got to get some new wires on some things back there so I have some more room. All right. That's the explanation. But we're on the right side of history. Yes. Come on, Francis. Look. Say hello. Say hello, Francis. Right, honey? We're on the right side of decency, dignity, and democracy. Ooh. My name is Tara Devlin. Thank you for hanging out. And I will see you very soon. Well, I'll see you Friday night. How's that? Friday night. 8:30-ish. See you soon.